Hey YouTubers, Christopher Wanamaker here doing an updated version of my life learning lessons and major experiences YouTube video. The last one that I did was quite long, about 3 hours and 38 minutes. This one should be a lot shorter and more fine-tuned this time because it's an updated version. And because I kind of realized I've already done like an autobiography version of my life, which here soon I might update that one as well, so it's a little more current. But in my last life learning lessons and major experiences video, I pretty much did almost like a timeline format of my autobiography of my life, and then when I hit certain points and times and events in my life, then I talked about my major life learning lessons and experiences. So now instead of that, I wrote down on like 4 or 5 different 3x5 cards, hitting more specific topic areas of major life learning lessons, and then some examples with some personal experiences in some of these categories. So I'm going to be fine tuning it quite a bit. So let's go ahead and get into this, shall we? So one of my very first things I'm going to go into is learn to budget and not live beyond your means. Constantly keep learning about finances. So never stop learning. One of the probably most important things getting out into the adult world would be to constantly keep learning about finances, how to create a budget for yourself, how to keep fine tuning your budget at least a couple of times a year, whether it be twice a year, 4 times a year, however many times, every month, every other month, every 3 months, every 4 months, every 6 months, whatever. Constantly keep digging into your finances. How can you make more money off to the side? How can you pay off your debts faster? How can you save in your auto insurance coverages, policies, deductibles? Or is there some they doing specials? Do they have savings? Forms of different savings that you can look into and take part in, like a DriveWise app or Safe Pilot. And after like 2 weeks of driving or 450 miles of driving, then you can get major discounts for your auto insurance because you added that to your phone and let it be active while you're driving, and it will give you a safety score. And you get a high safety score, you get a good amount of percentage off. So there's all these little different things, and so it's like just finances are probably one of the biggest stressors, the biggest issues, the biggest headaches within an adult life once you get out on your own and mommy and daddy or other family members aren't taking care of you anymore. You are completely on your own. And it's also very disrespectful and rude and immature if you're relying on roommates and everybody, and you're dropping the ball and you can't pay your portion of the rent or utilities because you're not being responsible. So keep digging into your finances, keep learning about finances, and pretty much until the day you die. So that would be the very first thing. Something personal to me, and I've learned, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't chew, I don't do pot. I don't really party. I don't club. I don't really gamble. I've been to a few bars. I've been to a few clubs. I've gambled a couple of times, just a small handful of times for all of those. I don't drink beer. I don't drink wine. I've tried some, but I didn't really like them. I do drink liquor every now and then. I might have 1 to 3 little either shots or normal liquor glasses of a drink in like a year, 1 to 3. I mostly actually use liquors, wines, and all that I collect as a collection for either saving, possibly trading, selling in the future, almost like a coin collection kind of thing, using for cooking, for basting and stuff, certain meat products and everything. Or possible barter trade if we hit apocalyptic civil war or whatever, and I have different supplies because I'm a bit of a prepper, and so I'd have different things for trade or sell and all that kind of stuff. The way I look at it is those kind of things, they're really not necessary in life. Almost every single one of them, it's like 1% positive, while you're doing it, while you're drinking or you're gambling or whatever, and about 99% negative after effects, the aftermath. And so the aftermath is almost always horrible, whether it's belligerent drunk, can't remember anything, you've been taken advantage of, if someone stole from you, you can't walk straight, peeing and pooping all over yourself, puking all over yourself for other things, you cause damage to other people's property, car wrecks, DUIs, bullying, abuse of family members or friends or spouses or pets, so, just you damage someone's property, you lost all your money, you got assaulted or raped or whatever, beaten the hell out of, people took advantage of you, the whole not feeling well the next day, a hangover and everything. So to me, it's 1% positive, 99% negative. It's not worth it. And as you get older, it will get worse and worse. So, for me, I just would rather, avoid all of that. All you're doing is you're making your life a living hell and making things worse and worse and causing headaches and issues and money problems and damaging your personal property or costing you jail time or, probation or getting a DUI and having that, you have to pay to have that thing installed in your car for a breathalyzer machine and your car won't start without it and all that kind of stuff. My older brother was the more recent major liquor alcoholic. He drank himself close to death for 22 months with more than a fifth a day of liquor. He just more in the past year started recovering from it and is getting back up on his feet. He was like the seventh or eighth generation major alcoholic in some form or another. My mom was a dry beer alcoholic, but we had problems in both sides of my family. My mom's father was a major merchant marine liquor alcoholic and actually died from alcohol poisoning. My uncle on my dad's side of the family, my grandfather's brother, who was a Navy veteran, and he had bipolar disorder, and he self-medicated with alcohol, and he gambled and all that kind of stuff, and he destroyed all of his relationships. His brother, my grandfather, didn't want to talk to him or have anything to do with him. He stole money from my grandfather and stuff for 20 years, and so he didn't have anything to do with him for over 20 years, and he ruined relationships. His family lost 2 houses and a business, a hair salon business, and everything because of my uncle's gambling and alcoholic issues and all that. So all those things I try to stay away from. I look at it as if it was up to me, we'd go like Starfleet, and there would be synthahol, so you can enjoy the alcohol, but it doesn't really affect you in any way, shape, or form. Drinking in some ways, I'd like to go back to the Prohibition. Because it's like, think of the amount of headache and bullying and abuse and drinking and driving accidents and deaths and everything that we could prevent if, Americans would stop being so addicted to freaking alcohol and only have it in moderation. We should only use it for celebration purposes, promotion, salute of a shot for passing of a friend, family member. You got promoted, it's your wedding day, things like that. So for funerals or parties or promotions, those should be the only, in weddings and stuff, should be only birth of a child and something like that. But otherwise, alcohol should almost be illegal, in my opinion. You go back to the Prohibition, and the world would probably be a better place, and people would, use more of their heads than just their addiction to alcohol and drugs. Learn to love yourself, believe and have confidence in yourself before falling in love with someone else. So, learning to believe in yourself and have confidence in yourself, having boundaries, letting someone, once you start dating, start putting in this is my biggest pet peeve, please don't do this or rarely do it. This is what I will tolerate and won't tolerate. Have confidence in yourself, have boundaries. Because if you don't, they will use you, they will hurt you, they will destroy you, and they will run you over and bully and abuse you. And you can avoid, being taken advantage of by people by believing and having confidence in yourself. Become a multitask problem solver, and by doing so, change your perception on positives and negatives to turn the negatives into more positives. You have to understand that everything in the world has positives and negatives. Um, so this is, pretty much, how to become a more effective multitask problem solver. You have to understand there's positives and negatives to everything. The question is it, 1% negative, 99% positive? Is it vice versa? Is it 50-50? Is it 75% negative, 25% positive? And then, it's that old saying, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. It's about perception, changing your angle perception of, how you look at things. So I'll give a super quick, easy example of what I'm talking about. A couple of years ago, me and my mom and my old high school female best friend and her significant other, that relationship, they had a blow up fight. They got me and my mom involved, and then the whole thing blew up and everything. I've been expecting it for like 9 years from that point in time. That I was just waiting for it to happen, and my friend pretty much, threw away our relationship of 14 and a half years of close to perfect friendship with no issues, problems, or fights. Yeah, it was the very first one. She threw it all away. But because I had been expecting it, because their relationship dynamic, it was a lot like my mom and my ex-stepfather's, and I hated my ex-stepfather, and her significant other, my best friend from high school significant other, is just like my younger twin version. So I saw the same signs and behaviors and how they treat each other, just like my mom and stepdad did. And so I was like, oh my God, it's like a younger identical twin version. So because of that, I kind of already went through it for 11 years myself. So I have a pretty good idea of how this is probably going to end up happening and what things that are going to happen. I predicted, what was going to happen to a certain degree of accuracy. And by doing that, knowing once it finally happened, it was like 50% positive, 50% negative to me. And then over the next several months, it bugged me because she threw away 14 and a half years of friendship, kicked me out of my goddaughter's lives without even allowing me to say a proper, respectable goodbye. And, but then I talked to another female friend and told she needed, someone to talk to and get some advice from. So I did for her. Then she's like, I think something's bugging you. Tell me what's your problem. I'll give you some guidance and advice. So I did that. And, she got it off my mind talking to someone about it, and she gave me some great advice. And, it's like, from what you told me, and you have evidence proof that what you told, her significant other is all true. You didn't lie, but she's saying you're lying, and you have proof, but you didn't send it. So you did something really stupid, but you didn't actually do anything wrong because you told the truth, but you held back and didn't show the evidence proof. You told some of her secrets. That was the stupid thing to do because you got frustrated and angry, you lost your cool. That's what human beings do. When you get angry, loose lips sink ships. But the same factor is that I didn't do anything wrong because I did nothing but tell the truth. Me and my mom did, and she's saying we're the big fat freaking liars and we have tons of evidence proof to prove otherwise. So because of that, she got my mind off. It's like, it's not your fault. You did something stupid, but you didn't actually do anything wrong. So, it's both of them who started this whole thing, and they're lying to each other because they won't face each other and tell the truth because they don't want to destroy the relationship because they have kids together. It's all about safety and security. It's not really setting each other free and fighting for rights, voice, and freedom. So, why are you driving yourself crazy with this? And once she did that, I was able to turn, I would say, about 30% of the 50% negative into positive. So then instead of it being 50% positive, 50% negative, now I looked at it as 80% positive, 20% negative. So it's all about perception, changing one's angle, understanding there's positives and negatives to everything. There's positives and negatives to being in the military, being a veteran. There's positives and negatives of being a civilian. There's positives and negatives of being single, and there's positives and negatives of being in a relationship or a marriage. There's positives and negatives of having kids or pets, and there's positives and negatives of not having kids and pets. Positives and negatives to everything. You have to understand as well to go along with that. Sometimes the moral or ethical code or rule or way of doing things will fail you. And I have a decent amount of personal experience with this, being a supply sergeant for the United States Army for 9 of 13 years, and I got out in September 2016. And so, pretty much, the way the military kind of did it, from my observation, I've always been sort of a listener, watcher, observer type of person, listening, watching, all different types of people from all different types of the world, from all different types of upbringings, and I pay attention to the details. Details really matter to me. Plus, I was logistics. I was a supply sergeant, and that's why I was so good at it. And so the thing that they taught me, I would say it's a learning triangle is what it is. The first thing at the very top would be that it's like you go into military basic training and AIT, advanced individual training, military schooling. For what job did you sign up for? What MOS? I was a quartermaster supply. And so anyway, what they taught me is you go into the training, you're in a classroom training environment, and almost always a school classroom environment, and how the real world workforce or real world works, two completely different things. They have like maybe 1% in common and 99% completely different. So what you learn in a classroom environment is going to be different from what you do in the real world. That's one of the biggest things I learned about when it comes to a classroom educational environment compared to the real world. And what it was you go basic training AIT, and it's listen to your instructors, follow every single rule, law, regulation, and policy the government has in a classroom environment. Then you go from the top tip to the next corner, come down, and then you're in your real unit. The training and classroom environment is done. So then you get out into the real world. Now you're in your unit, whether a clerk, a private, or whatever, NCO, you're in charge of a department or a platoon or squad leader or whatever. Then it's more of what kind of leadership do you have? And what kind of NCOs, what kind of officers, what kind of supervisors, what kind of managers, what kind of higher ups do you have? And what do they believe? Are they the bookworm type? Are they the type that follows every rule, law, regulation, policy, and believes following in all those rules, laws, regulation, policy? Or are they type of person where they grew up, it's I'm higher ranking than you, look at my rank, I'm higher ranking, do as you're told, don't talk back to me, I told you to do something, this is what I want, I want it this specific way, don't argue with me, don't talk back to me, do what the hell I tell you to do, and do it exactly how I tell you to do it, and don't talk back. Just get it done. So it's depending on your leadership chain of command and the type of person they are, will determine, are you actually following rules, laws, regulations, and policies to the letter, doing the right thing? Or are you maybe bending or even breaking rules, laws, regulations, and policies because some higher up told you to, and they don't have a freaking clue of what they're talking about or saying because they're not the subject matter expert within your field, like logistics. They just want it their way or the highway, and they don't want any pushback. And then you go from the second to the final thing that pretty much completes the triangle, and that is you go to a war zone. And then you go to a war zone, and then it's they give you the rules of engagement, and it's also what the more important thing is complete the mission, whatever the hell the mission is, unless higher ups pretty much tell you cancel the mission, abandon the mission, abort the mission, whatever. Then you have to do everything in your power, even if it means breaking rules, laws, regulations, policies, every single one, in order to complete the mission. It's the mission comes before anything and everything else. That includes all you and your men's life. So unless higher ups abort the mission, cancel the mission, tell the people out there to retreat or abandon the cargo, supplies, whatever. If they don't give that order, then you have to give up your life to complete the mission, protect the cargo, get mission complete no matter what. So it's throw all the rules and policies out the window, do whatever the hell the higher ups tell you, and complete the mission at all freaking costs. That even means sacrificing your life. That's pretty much how the real world works. So that sort of talks about the moral. How sometimes trying to do the moral and ethical right thing in the real world, especially in a war zone environment. Every scenario, every situation is different, but it can fail you. I'll give a few other simple examples. When I was deployed to Baghdad, Iraq, probably near summer of 2010, when we finished up our, as a part of a field artillery battery based out of Fort Lewis, Washington. We were in Camp Liberty, Baghdad, Iraq, and we were done with our patrol mission and everything. We're starting to pack up. Have to turn in all of our TPE, theater property equipment. We're not handing it over to anybody else because no one else has taken over our CP, our command post area, and all of our equipment like we did for someone else when we got there. And so I'm turning everything in, and I'm trying to turn in some hazmat, like cleaning supplies, bleach, chlorine, whatever, simple green, batteries, spray paint, whatever. And I have a good, amount, hundreds of items. I have my own Humvee called a Fob Runner, and I'm, to go from our command post all the way to this hazmat place is near the airport. It's a 45-minute drive one way, so an hour and a half. You got to do a bunch of paperwork for different types of hazmat. You got to get certain higher ranking, certain level of high ranking signatures on certain items. And every time I go there, I deal with a completely different civilian who takes 3 to maybe 8 different types of hazmat materials, and then pushes back everything else, and then tells me no, this paperwork is wrong, you need actually this paperwork. Let me give you an example. Here's an example, highlight this, fill this out, get this person's higher level signature. And they did that about 50 freaking times over a 2-month period. Kept kicking it back, take a little but not a lot, and all that kind of stuff. I even have my own first sergeant, XO lieutenant, and company commander captain go with me 3 different times to deal with show them the headache I was dealing with, and so they could try to I'm a big higher ranking person. You will listen to me, and the civilians are laughing at him like, no, we won't. You have no authority over us. So they just kept doing what they wanted to do. So I'm down to the last half a dozen items. It's my last day with the Humvee Fob Runner in order to go to this hazmat place, because the very next day I'm turning in my Humvee to clear our TPE property book and to be able to get on the plane and leave, but like a week later. So my first sergeant pretty much pulls me out the side like, it's not your fault. I know you're busting your butt. You're doing everything you've been told to do by them, and they keep changing it every single time you go. This is not your fault, but we need this stuff gone so we can get the hell out of here. So listen to my words of what I'm telling you. You're not coming back with any hazmat gear. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Giving me an order without giving me an actual direct order. All I want to hear is that mission complete. All hazmat is gone. So, I hope that they would take all of it, not give me any more issues, only like half a dozen items. They took 4 out of 6 different hazmat items. So we went around that area, and I found a really empty road that leads towards from the hazmat place to the actual garbage dump. We pulled over to use a porta potty to go to the bathroom. Found a garbage a dumpster. Jumped in it, put on my gloves, dug out a corner, and put those last 2 hazmat things in the corner of a dumpster to get rid of it, and to be able to inform my first sergeant that mission complete. So it's one of those things that I wanted to do it the right way. I tried to do it the right way. I wanted the hazmat people to take that crap off my hands. It just didn't happen that way because they were being complicated little dicks. So, you have to understand that there will be times that doing it things the right way and the moral way and the ethical way every now and then will fail you. Sometimes, hopefully, you can reschedule things, you can adjust things, adapt and overcome. Another great example, in my Hawaii and Fort Carson, Colorado duty stations and units, there were probably 6-7 times altogether between those 2 units where I had to forge my company commander, whoever they were, man or woman, I had to forge their signatures on churn-in documentation, lyle transfer documentation, issuing of equipment documentation. I did the right thing. I sent them multiple copies, paper copies, in their inbox on their desk, of their office, in their emails, in a variety of other ways. Gave it to the XO to give it to the company commander, make sure it gets it, and sign it. I need it signed off and dated by a specific date. And something every now and then, on a rare occasion, there's a lot going on in military units, and with higher up chain of command, and somehow they drop the ball. And so I came up with a couple different creative ways of forging signatures, and because they knew it needed to be done, they're telling me, do it, make it happen, complete the mission, complete the lyle transfer, issue, or churn in of equipment. But then the company commander who has to finally sign off on the last thing drops the ball. So you got to do what you got to do. I didn't want to do it. I didn't like doing it. I wouldn't recommend doing it. I was even taught in AIT training. It's one of the most horrible, disrespectful, dishonorable things that a logistics person can do. So hopefully you never do it, or if you do, you don't ever get caught. Now with what I did, it would only hurt me if I got caught. It wouldn't actually hurt anybody else, other than the fact that, they might be without a supply person, or maybe without a knowledgeable supply sergeant, but they might have clerks, but they don't have as much knowledge and experience as me. So until they get a more experienced supply person to take over for me, and they're like, you just stay away from our the supply room, you can't work for us anymore, we're going to kick you out of our unit, or out of the army, or whatever, then so it could affect them in not having a good, knowledgeable, on-hand, experienced person. So, I always try to find other ways to do the right thing. Like, hey, the commander dropped the ball. Can we postpone the lyle transfer churn-in issue? Can we change it to another date? 99% of the time they did that. They worked with me. We adapted and overcame. But there were several times during the last 2 units that I was in Hawaii and Fort Carson, Colorado, that it did not happen. They're like, we need it like today, here in like an hour or two. You're running out of time. Figure something out. And so I figured something out, I problem solved, so there's that. Understand, as you get older, you will end up doing things that other people are not going to like, understand, or agree with. That's their problem, not yours. I see this quite a bit, especially when people are young, of, the people saying that, you disrespected me, you offended me, those, we call them Karens now and everything, that, people are so sensitive nowadays, and it's pretty much, I'm going to do things over time that I think I need done, that's important for me to do, and maybe I do it in a certain way. And by doing it, I say something that I don't really mean any disrespect or be disrespectful or rude or whatever, but someone takes offense to it. Okay, that's in their head. They're being offended in their head, in their heart, whatever, in their emotions. You didn't intend to, offend them on purpose or disrespect them on purpose, or say an inappropriate thing. Some things just come out of your mouth. So then it's like, you're gonna, do things, say things, or do things over time and that other people are not going to like, understand, or agree with, and that is their problem, not yours. Tell them to shut the hell up, quit whining, quit crying. What do you want me to do about it? Okay, I'm sorry. Now you don't want to take my apology? It sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. Go the hell away. Or get lost, or, you turn around and leave, or whatever. So you have to understand that, a lot of people have a lot of problems. They get offended very easily. They're mentally and emotionally weak. And so, or if anything, what do you got to do? Another thing I'll go into, but you pretty much, how do you deal with higher ranking people or offended people, or what? You tell them what they want to hear. You show them what they want to see. And then they're like, Roger, thanks. I'm going to close my mouth, do an about face, and get the hell out of your office and out of your hair. So, you control the situation. You apologize even if you really don't mean it, and all that kind of stuff. It's their problem. It's not yours. So, just do what you need to do. You do you is the best way to put it. You do you. You do what you need to do for yourself, and quit whining about other people's hurt feelings and mental emotional weakness, complaining. Um, over time, as much as humanly possible, it's probably like a part of the like living by the like military seven army values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage, which is be a man or woman of your word and never go back on your word if you can help it. We all make mistakes, but keep your word. Your word is your bond. Definition of respect: treat others as you want to be treated. To me, that means eye for an eye, equalness and fairness across the board. What you dish and serve to others is exactly what you deserve to get dished and served in return. So if you're saying one thing and doing another, which is one of my biggest pet peeves, especially with women, or anybody you're making a business deal, borrowing money or whatever for, and then you do your part, but then they don't fully do their part, and they like hit and run and all that, and they're proven to you that they're crying wolf, and they have no honor, they have no integrity, loyalty, trust. You cannot count on them and respect them. Um, how to be a better gift giver to those closest to you using the 5 love languages. And this kind of helps prevent fights of giving bad gifts. A lot of people say I'm a very unique gift giver because I pay attention to their likes, their interests, their tastes, their dislikes, their current hobbies, their what could they really use, what could really assist them, a home vehicle, whatever that they really want, but maybe it's too expensive for them, or you create something like that. It could help them with cleanup faster. Maybe it's like one of those vacuum iRobot things, vacuum or mopping, or one time I got my old high school friend who has 2 little girls. This it's almost like a laundry bag kind of thing. It's like a little basket or whatever, but then you open it up and it's like a ginormous mat. Put all their toys on it, and then you grab the strings, you pull the strings so it goes flat like a laundry bag or Santa Claus's bag. Opens up from the strings, goes flat like a big mat, and then you grab the strings and then close it up, and so it's a quick cleanup for your toys or Legos or Tinker Toys or whatever, and all that for smaller toys and all that. It's a quick, fast. It's like a mat for toys to play on, but yet a quick, easy cleanup. A few items fall off of it, throw it in the center, and then close it up. So just pay attention to people's likes, interests, taste, dislike. Pay attention to like if they actually do like the 80 to 100 question love languages. What were their top 2? Mine was physical touch and quality time. So I'm not much of a person who, unless it's like a birthday card or you're buying me food or you're giving me money, I really don't care about physical gifts, or if it's really like a one of a kind, someone created an art piece or sculpture or something like that, but it follows along the things of my likes, my interests, my taste, person, place, or thing. Maybe it's a sculpture of a dolphin. I like dolphins, or wolves, or bald eagles, or something like that, but not of a horse. So I like horses, but they're not my favorite thing. Or they're of a Komodo dragon or a snake. I'm not really into those. So it's like don't take your top 2 out of 5 love languages and push them onto me and think that, oh, I did something for you, you should like it and be grateful. No, you should pay attention to what my top 2 love languages are. Use those to your advantage for gift giving and creative ideas, and then do something that I'm going to like, that I have interest in, that it's my tastes. So the big thing with using the 5 love languages to be a better, more effective gift giver to the people most important and closest to you is learning what their top 2 love languages or interests and tasks and hobbies and wishes and hopes and dreams, and they're also their dislikes, and are they allergic to anything. Understanding what those are, and they will change over time, especially when they're young and get older. Their hobbies and interests and everything will change. So, because I've also seen parents and all that for like one dad parent of my old high school best friend would get her oldest little girl birth a little gifts just because gifts. She's like 5, 6 years old, and he gets her 1, 2, 3, 4-year-old gifts, and they're not age appropriate, and they have nothing to do with her actual current interests and tastes. And then I became the bad guy because I paid attention to their daughters' likes, interests, tastes, dislikes, what their current hobbies are, their current interests, like Frozen, Anna, Elsa stuff, or a little horsey toy or whatever. And then when I left, they would play with my toys way more than the dad's toys, and he got all upset and butthurt and pissed off. That's not my problem or fault, that I'm paying attention to their actual interests, tastes, hobbies. I'm connecting with their kids on a more mental, emotional, intellectual level, and he really wasn't. How's that my fault? It's not. So shouldn't be mad at me. Should be mad at themselves. Let's see. Men and women are truly equal to one another. The way I look at this, is a true equality between the sexes. Where men are weak, women are strong. Where women are weak, men are strong. We need each other. We balance each other out. I'm not much of an authoritarian type of relationship dynamic person. I'm more egalitarian. In fact, my hopes and dreams, my number one celebrity couple idols would be Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I love their banter with one another, and they really help each other out. They really support each other, but they're like best friends and kid around and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I'm looking for. But someone who is mature and a good head on their shoulders, intelligent, creative, good with finances. Doesn't want the huge wedding, go blow $1 million that we don't have. Would rather spend the money not on the a super expensive ring and one day party and wedding dress, but more on the honeymoon, world travel, vehicle, house, furniture, put money away into retirement, pay for college, the more responsible stuff, and who has a good head on their shoulders and who isn't selfish and greedy. So I definitely believe, but we have to talk to each other, and we have to, before moving in and talking about marriage and all that, we have to know our likes and interests and tastes and dislikes, and what our boundaries are, what will we tolerate, what will we not tolerate. That needs to be put out there probably within the first month of dating and before starting to sleep with one another. I think it is important for couples to date for a year or two, then live together for a year or two, even before considering both marriage or having kids. Otherwise, you could ruin your life and future, each other's life and future. Let's see. The majority of our own personal problems, issues, and hardships we face are caused by our own piss poor choices, decisions, and actions. So that's all about pretty much taking accountability for your piss poor choices, actions, and decisions within your life, especially once you become 18 years old or older. So it's pretty much, you don't like your life, you don't like being single, or you don't like your significant other, you don't like your job, you don't like your career path, you don't like how much debt you're in, how much you're hurting, how unhappy you are. Okay, it's your, what are you going to do about it? It's up to you. Stop looking around for someone else to out of 100 levels of a conflict, I can only handle up to level 1. I'm 20s or 30s or 40s, and level 1 is for 4 to 6 year olds. And so I'm looking around, and it's getting harder. Someone take the reins of my adult life, because it's scary, stressful, difficult, and hard. I don't want to adult anymore, and take over my responsibility, order me around, tell me what I can or cannot do. I'll talk crap about you, significant other, who's doing that, to everybody I know. But I still, it's the only thing I know. So tell me what I can or cannot do. I don't want to grow up and be a real adult and act my age. I want to act like I'm mentally and emotionally 20 to 30 years younger than my actual physical age, because I don't want to grow up, because adulting is scary, difficult, stressful, and hard. I actually just today saw a little YouTube 1 minute clip of a young African American adult parent mother show up with 2 to 3 kids, drop them off at her mom's house, so to the grandparents' house, and she's informing her mother that I am dropping these kids off permanently. I am not coming back to get them. I found myself a young man who's doing really well in life, but he does not want any kids. I am sick and tired of being a single mom. I am sick and tired of being a parent. I'm sick and tired of being responsible. I just want to travel and be happy and be free and be stress free. And so, because this guy that I'm really liking him into, that's what he wants, I'm getting rid of my children and dropping them off to you, and I no longer want them. And I'm like, holy crap, someone call the cops and CPS. She needs to go to jail or be massively fined, and it's like, hey, you chose your life, you chose your path, you chose to open up your legs and have sex and then have kids and not either giving up for adoption or to not have an abortion. That was your choice. There is no, I tap out a few years or several years or, 12 years later and abandon your kids because you want to be happy. You should have been smarter with your young life decisions and choices. We are all responsible for our own choices, actions, decisions, and destinies when we become an adult. So soon, whatever happened to you while you were a child under your parents' roof, as soon as you're an adult and out on your own, it's time to sink or swim. It's, unless of course it's a natural disaster, wiped away your home and vehicle, and now, your family, parents, or siblings are helping you get back up on your feet, giving you a place to crash until you get back up on your feet. That's a little different. Otherwise, if you fail at life and don't make enough money and don't pay rent and all that, then you deserve to be homeless. So because you didn't think about the future, you blew every dime you had. You didn't think about savings and emergency savings and or insurances, paying for auto insurance, home insurance, homeowners insurance, whatever. You decided not to be responsible and think about your future and what did you really want for yourself? What does your 5-year plan and 10-year plan look like? So we are all responsible for our own choices, actions, decisions, and destinies. And so whatever happened to you when you were young, as soon as you become 18 and you're on your own, forget what happened in your childhood. Don't let the past affect your present where you're consumed by what happened in the past. And then that means you have no real good future because you're stuck in the past. The past is in the past. And the present is the present. The present is a gift, and that's why it's called the present. Something from Kung Fu Panda from the wise turtle. Let's see. Moving on to the next thing. How to handle an experience of intense stress, pain, exhaustion, numbness, depression, or PTSD. One of the two parts to this. The very first one is stay away from drugs, alcohol, partying, clubbing, gambling. Stay away from the things that are pretty much all the things that all you're doing is avoiding dealing with the numbness, depression, PTSD, the trauma, whatever caused it. You're kicking the can down the road. You're drowning yourself in drugs and alcohol, partying, and you're distracting yourself. You're not facing it, dealing with it, overcoming it, and conquering it right away to get the hell over it and get past it, to close that chapter and move on to the next chapter. And so, because all you're doing, if you just kick the can down the road and avoid it and ignore it, what are you actually doing? You're turning a situation that is like, it starts like really small, like a pebble small, or, maybe even one of those little 4th of July, little tiny white firecracker things that that pop and snap when you throw them on the ground. It's this little small issue, and every single day that you're ignoring it and avoiding it, no matter what it is, this is what's happening. Every single day you're ignoring it, avoiding it, drowning yourself, is that small thing is getting bigger and 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 bigger. So, and then eventually the bubble will pop. Eventually you're going to hit a brick wall. The bubble's going to pop. And then this, that one small thing that you could have dealt with nearly immediately within an hour, a day, a couple of days, a week, a month, now has become, instead of a little firecracker issue, it is now a megaton nuclear warhead nuke that is blowing up in your face, and it just shatters you and destroys you. So stop avoiding things, stop running and hiding, stop cowering in fear, and The only thing to fear is fear itself. Fear is meant to be faced, dealt with, overcome, and conquered. How does one, become mentally and emotionally stronger slowly over time as we level up and grow up? By facing, dealing with, overcoming, and conquering difficulty, challenges, obstacles, hardship, all levels and all forms of conflict. How frequently? Every fucking day of your life. That's how we slowly become mentally and emotionally stronger. That's how we gain confidence and belief in ourselves. We go through the hard stuff. You got to go right through it. You got to look fear dead in its eyes, and say no more. You're not gonna take control of me. I'm not gonna be like a deer in headlights, and I'm just frozen and I can't do anything because I'm so afraid and I have anxiety and all this other kind of stuff. Face it, deal with it, overcome it, and conquer it. Get over it, get past it as fast as humanly possible, and move on. And then you'll just become smarter and stronger, as a human being as you slowly grow up. And especially if you have kids, you're a parent. Your kids need you to do that for them as well. They need you to become smarter and stronger, especially with how more difficult and challenging and weird and scary and frightening the world is becoming, especially like World War III happens or the apocalypse. So, but the other thing to that is not just stay away from drugs and alcohol to deal with numbness, PTSD, depression, all that kind of stuff. There's a second part of this, and I've done it myself. It's probably, I would say, about 90% effective. So my major advice to this is, your mental and emotional health are very important. Because if you cripple yourself with fear and trauma and all that, anxiety, you're not really living. All you're doing is existing. So it's like, why would anybody want to exist like that? I wouldn't want to for very long, like a year. Then hey, jump off a cliff. So it's like, how I need to face it. I need to face it, deal with it, overcome and conquer it. But how can you do that? How can you turn these negative traumas and issues and turn them, flip them on their head? Turn it on a dime from a negative into a positive. Well, I have two different techniques. One would be do some sort of major thrill-seeking adventure. Now, whether that's whitewater rafting, bungee jumping, skydiving, Six Flags roller coasters or some sort of theme park roller coasters, zip lining, paragliding, glider ride, something that's going to get the heart pumping like no tomorrow, and it's going to last for several hours because your adrenaline is like massively rushing. Skydiving is a big thrill, and roller coasters, are a big way to do that as well. So, but not everybody is a thrill-seeking adventurist. So what about the people who are not major thrill-seeking adventurers? Well, there's a second thing they could do. Save up money, go, do gig jobs off to the side for a while, create a financial goal to hit a financial goal of some kind, $1,000, $1,500, $3,000, $5,000, whatever it is, and then go ahead and go use that money, take some time off because your mental health is important, put in for your work for some time off, vacation time, and use that money to go make some sort of big dream or wish come true. Now, everybody's different, so whatever it is for you, maybe it's going up into Canada, doing a Canada road trip through one of the regions or all of them. Maybe it's a cross-country road trip, the entire West Coast, East Coast, hit all four corners of the United States. I've done that myself. The day I got out of the Army, I went on a 51-day, 10,300-mile, 34-state cross-country road trip, hit all four corners of the United States. It was an outer skirt road trip. The only states I skipped was North Dakota, Michigan, Iowa, and Delaware, and spent $12,000 and had a blast. And so, but maybe your thing is going to Disney World. Maybe you've never been to Disney World. Maybe it's Disneyland. Maybe it's Hawaii. Figure out what that dream is and go make it happen. If it is an intense, major intense version of trauma, numbness, depression, PTSD, do a combination of the two. Make some big dream or wish come true. And then while you're doing that, go on one or several major adventure things that's going to get your heart pumping like no tomorrow, like a theme park or whitewater rafting or zip lining or something like that, skydiving, whatever. So, that is my advice on that. And I did it after Iraq. I went on a 5,000-mile West Coast road trip. I went from Fort Lewis, Washington, Portland, Oregon. Got to see. I came back from Baghdad, Iraq, so I missed her and old high school best friend that I had a thing for. Got to see her, stay the night at her place on her couch. And then I drove like 7 hours to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Saw my aunt, uncle, and one of my cousins and her family as well. Stayed there for a couple of days in their second, like $2 million log home. That was they just had got it, and then I road trip south down to Cottonwood, Arizona. Saw my dad and my grandmother, and then after that headed to Riverside, Southern California. Saw the same aunt and uncle on my dad's side from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, in Riverside, California, which is also where I was born. So I got to see more of the area where I, was born and first grew up for my first year on this earth in, and then saw my other, cousin and her family and my aunt and uncle as well. And then I took a couple days, did one day at Universal Studios, rested a day, and the next day did Six Flags as well for several hours. And then the very next day, I would leave the area and drive like a solid 15 hours from Riverside, Southern California, all the way back up to Fort Lewis and check in off of R&R leave. So, it was like I think it was like 3 week or something like that. Yeah, I think 3 week, 5,000-mile West Coast road trip. And I've done several other, multiple thousand miles of road trip as well. So it's a good way, even when I was in college, near the end of my associate's degree, I think that at the end of my fourth semester before the fifth and final semester, before getting my associate's degree at Pikes Peak Community College in Colorado Springs, I went on a 5 week, 5,800-mile road trip, Colorado Springs up to Glacier National Park, Montana, up into Banff and Canmore, Alberta, Canada area, and the Rocky Mountains of Canada. Then headed west to Whistler, BC, Canada. Stayed at each of these places at a time, 5-star timeshare resort I was a part of for a week each. Traveled the area like the Banff and Jasper National Park north of Banff, Alberta, Canada. After I was done in that area, went to head west, Whistler, BC, headed south, across the border back into Washington State, visited with my brothers for 2 weeks here in the Northwest, and then after that drove back to Colorado Springs, and then after that got back to full-time Lyft driving to make money until my next semester started. So anytime I push myself long enough, whether it's military work, deployments, traumas from anything, exhaustion, hard work, from college or whatever. I got to figure out that work-life balance. Learn from the military. Hey, for every year you work, you get like 30 days paid vacation. I know it's not how a lot of civilian companies are, but they taught me well. Even sometimes I would keep working nonstop, no vacation for a year and a half, 2 years, maybe 3 years, but then I have 2 to 3 months of paid vacation saved up. But once you start to see burnout and numbness and depression and PTSD, exhaustion, you got to take care of your mental, emotional, psychological health. That's very, very important. So, this is one of my own personal things that I kind of learned from my mother as well. Use all your different talents, strengths, and abilities for your life, benefits, and survival. So no matter what that is, whether you're good with finances and you can use that to your advantage, you're muscular, lawn maintenance, artwork, you do artwork and maybe you sell, you have a couple on hand and you try to sell them, put them on Facebook Marketplace, offer up, I know I've known people like a soldier buddy who got out, got kind of screwed by the military, dishonorable discharge. You didn't hardly have anything once he got out. Yet he was living out of a Hyundai Santa Fe, I think it was, vehicle, pulled out the back seats, got some Home Depot construction done, turned the back to a bed, lived out of his vehicle, and then he was good with motorcycles and mechanics, so he would buy like a piece of crap, dirt cheap bike, tune it up, fix it up inside and out until it's running purring like a kitten and major improvements, try to sell it for 2 to 3 times what he bought it for, maybe even 5 times. Then he sells that bike, goes get a better bike that's falling apart, but that he's using and fixing that up, and then he went from a $500 bike to a $5,000 bike to a $10,000 bike to a $20,000 bike to a $40,000 bike, and he just kept increasing, improving, and they kept one of the bikes, and then have some money, go get another one, and then keep selling a bike and a bike and a bike, a motorcycle, and kept. Then he got like one of the hand cranking pop up RV campers and all that. Then he got a solid wall camper. He just slowly but surely went from what could he afford, starting from the bottom, and slowly built himself up. Um, and so, there's one example. People, I've done it before actually. People drive around, find a piece of furniture, it's in decent condition, needs a little TLC, but then it's like, hey, if I take this, put a little TLC, little nuts and bolts, little elbow grease, vacuuming, Bissell shampooer that I have, clean it up, I could actually put this on like OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace and try to sell it. So you take things, or you turn it into an art project or something, or you take pieces and you build something new out of it. Or you're a beautiful woman and you use what God gave you, or what you enhanced, or whatever, show off what you got, use what God gave you, or you guy or girl, use your good looks or your brains or your creativity or whatever it is, whether God gave you or you developed it, or it's a little bit of both, or you enhanced it or whatever, to improve your life, your benefits, your survival, your financial goals, get debt free faster, investment, being able to buy a house, tiny house, land, car, whatever. Use what God gave you or you developed yourself. That's the overall gist of it. This is from personal experience. Living with family or friends or relatives in general who are very different from you is a huge mistake, and it will cost you in the long run. It might not happen right away, especially when you're just getting out of your parents' house and out on your own and all that kind of stuff. But if you're living with someone who pretty much doesn't have a similar attitude, behavior, thought process, belief system, virtues, and values, and everything, then they're eventually probably going to hurt you and take advantage of you and screw you over and say one thing and do another. They're going to hold you down and they're going to hold you back. I am talking from personal experience. I was, once all my basic training, AIT military training was over with, I was still in the Army Reserves. Took like a month off, then did temp agency jobs, then started applying for local jobs and found a job at nighttime stock clerk at Fred Meyer's, and then I started working there part-time, which eventually turned into full-time after I pushed myself and proved myself, and then within a couple of months I go and live with my older brother, and he pretty much got me evicted from my very first apartment ever as an adult within 120 days because of his obsession with loud stereo system. He was the type of person like, I know everything, I know all, no one could tell me I'm not wrong, I know better, and pretty much he moved into an apartment, and it's thin paper walls, can hear everything, and he has to play video games, music, porn, that vibrates the foundation of the building. He just, he's like, I am out of my parents' home. I am free. Now I want to do whatever the hell I want. No one can tell me no. There are no consequences in my life. And so, and there were consequences. He got like several loud noise complaints and other complaints. And after moving in with him, 120 days later, we got evicted and had to move to a different place, which was bigger and nicer and better environment and all that. It was $50 more in rent. And then the last year I lived with him, during the last about 10 to 11 months of living with him, when we agreed to do the same thing we did before, we each pay half rent, half utilities, and buy our own food. He kept finding and losing jobs, being an idiot, and making dumb adult decisions and dumb actions, and it affected him. Kept finding and losing work for one reason or another, and I ended up paying all rent, all utilities, and my own food for about the last 10 to 11 months. He owed me $5,500 in back pay that I never saw from him because his mentality and belief is we're bloodly related, and I helped you with schooling when we were young under our parents' roof, and our parents forced me to like be your personal mathematical tutor, and so now you owe me, and so I shouldn't have to pay you $1 back. Just forget about it. They will eventually use you. So unless that you have a very similar mentality, belief system, attitude, behavior, religious beliefs, political beliefs, you're on the same page, you get along really well, then those are the right type of people to live with. Otherwise, it will eventually become a nightmare, and they will hurt you and use you and steal from you, and mooch off of you and become a moocher and a leech. So, and they'll just use you. So, lawn mowing experience. So I saw, I started my work career at 12 years old, babysitting. 14, I took over my older brother's lawn mowing business in a small, isolated town known as Toledo, Washington. And when he became 16, because he's 2 years older than me, I applied for a job at a Red Apple grocery store, and with parents' permission, was able to take that on. So he took me out and trained me on his methods and all that, and what his customers look for. I had about a dozen lawns, made about $500 a month average every month during spring and semester for a couple of years. I lost a few lawns, then gained more back. I went from 12 down to 6, and then back up to 12. And one big thing he taught me when it comes to especially finances is that's where my actually earning good money while I'm a teenager began. And one of the lessons that he taught me, but then eventually threw away himself when he became an adult and moved out of our parents' place, which he should have kept doing, was, oh, you just made that $500 in a month? Oh, you think you get to keep all of that and go blow it on whatever you want? Yeah, think again. You're going to start, and we're going to treat it like you're an adult, and there's taxes and things like that. So out of $500, 1/5 to him for depreciation reimbursement for the lawnmower, weed eater, rake, and all that kind of stuff. 1/5 in my pocket, 1/5 in actual savings, 1/5 in for replacement of gas, oil, weed eater line, spare parts kind of stuff, and then 1/5 off to the side and like a severance savings for any kind of repairs that need to be done. Broken things, broken wheels, broken blades on the lawnmower, the pull string, if it breaks or whatever needs to be fixed and replaced, I'll take it to a repair shop, whatever. So, and then after I would pay him off completely of whatever the depreciation price was for everything, for all the gear and equipment, then it went from, 1/5, 20% of everything, or say out of $500, $100 for each of those different accounts, then it's 25% now. So it's 125 in pocket, 125 in savings, 125 for gas and oil and weed eater line, and 125 in for broken parts or repairs to the lawnmower, weed eater, getting a new rake, whatever. So, that was a really good life learning lesson. And to kind of go along with that, a new thing that just popped in my head is something my parents, definitely taught all of his children, and it really stuck with me, and especially with military mentality as well, military training, was pretty much homework comes first, chores come second, all other responsibility comes third, and then fun comes last. So, and that kind of stuck with me. And so, that's why I've always been super laser freaking focused. I push myself hard. Sometimes I even would skip meals because I'm so focused on tasks and I don't want to stop. Or if I, know I'm, it's going to take a long while to do, many days, then I'm waiting until I hit certain points, kind of like playing a video game, and you don't want to stop until you hit to a certain point, and then you go to the a saving point or whatever, and then you will get to the save point and stop. Same kind of concept. So yeah, and that kind of stuck with me. But when my other brothers, they're hard workers and everything, but that kind of mentality, so they got out of the house and they're out of school and everything, it just went out the window. They didn't keep with it. So that also leads into financial lessons, digging into your finances, being financially smart, always constantly learning about finances, like I said at the beginning of the video. And so always conducting research, call up, banks, how do credit cards work, different level of credit cards, benefits, APR interest, talk to accountants, financial advisors, constantly doing research. One time came back from Afghanistan, had a month off of R&R block leave vacation, paid for vacation. The first 2 weeks, all I did was nothing but homework research, networking, calling people up, talking to people, asking about discounts, doing combined activities, one after the other, after the other, after the other, and all that kind of stuff. And so I took a 2 week, for my last 2 weeks out of a month, vacation from Oahu to the island of Kauai, the Garden Island. And if I had just shown up, paid for everything at the front desk of every activity I wanted to do, did not call up and make reservations and book things and coordinate and ask about discounts, military and college discounts and all this other kind of stuff, I would have paid full price, and I would have paid $5,500. You know how much I paid because I did my homework research ahead of time, and I talked to people and I asked questions? I paid $1,500. So what it would have cost me $5,500 cost me $1,500. So doing your homework and research and preparedness and thinking ahead will always pay off in big financial ways. It's the same thing with very more recently. I did a new YouTube video. Go check it out on personal fine-tuning of personal auto insurance coverages, policies, and deductibles. I wanted to figure out a way to save more money. And so, credit scores are going up and everything. So I'm looking, like, what can I do? And so I'm looking at my auto insurance, and I was like, man, I have all these coverages, but I haven't really, deep dived into these coverages and all that. So I went into my bank, USAA, and logged in and looked at auto insurance and looked at my coverages, and then some of them you can adjust the deductibles for, like, comprehensive and collision. I was doing like $500 deductibles now. So it's like if you have lots of expenses and not much, you're not, you have debts to pay, and you're not either fully debt free or close to debt free, and you don't have a lot of money put away off to the side, then a lower deductible is probably a good idea. So you have auto insurance coverages, but then you're also going to be paying more per month for those coverages and policies. But then if you're more either close to debt free or 100% debt free like I am, and then you have some money put off to the side as well, thousands of dollars, like your 3 to 6 month emergency fund, or up to $10,000 worth, or a whole year's worth, you're doing really well financially, then you can raise the deductible for the collision and comprehensive coverage policy, and by raising it from like $50 coverage to $1,000 coverage, so you're going to pay more out of pocket, but then you're paying less per month for your actual auto insurance policy. Then you can also dig into certain questions they have for discounts. Does your vehicle have LoJack or like OnStar? That's a discount. Does your vehicle have like all airbags kind of thing, on all sides, full airbag coverage? Yes, it does. Does your car, when you turn it on, have an automatic daylight headlights that are turn on automatically? It's not your actual headlights, it's a different light. That's a discount coverage. And then there's these new apps, driving apps coming out, like DriveWise and USAA Safe Pilot, and you download it, you register and all that, and then over either a 2 week period or 450-ish miles, whichever comes first, and they'll do a safety rating, like a hands-free device connected to the vent of the vehicle, and it will monitor, do I touch my phone, do I do text message on my phone, do I pick up and move my phone and hold it around, am I connected to a Bluetooth, safety features. By automatically signing up, it took 10% off my auto insurance. Now once the 2 week or 450 mile rating and review is done, I could go from 10% up to 30%. So instead of 10%, which was like $66 off my future upcoming by May new auto insurance 6-month term policy, I could, if I do up to 30%, I get up to 30% with the safety app. Then that's could be up to $198. So doing all these, digging into the details of what are you paying for and what are the deductibles and what coverages you have, getting all that information and fine tuning everything in every kind of bill you have, every monthly fixed or variable expense, utility bill or rent or whatever. You keep digging into your finances and learning more and more. You keep fine tuning things, and where companies and businesses won't take full advantage of you because knowledge is power. So, um, getting creative with paying down debt. So I got two things for this. It's kind of like, so gig jobs off to the side from your full-time job if you have free time. Lyft, Uber, Uber Eats, DoorDash, delivering packages for, whether it be FedEx, UPS, using your own vehicle, whatever it is. And then there's a plasma donation. Guys can donate sperm, women can donate eggs. If you have some sort of condition or whatever, you can, maybe take in sleep studies or newer medication testing or whatever. There's ways to make extra money off to the side that can go towards paying down your debt. When I was in Colorado Springs, Colorado, right after, actually it was before I even got out of the military, I did it for like about 3.5 years, over 300 times donating plasma, and I made about $300 per month average over a whole year. That's like 32, 33 extra $100. That's tax free and all that kind of stuff. So then use that, put it towards any kind of debt, like car payment or whatever, or improvement of a repair to something, or paying off debt, or buying new furniture, or whatever it is. So. And then another thing about that, I had a major experience of owning a timeshare, a WorldMark by Wyndham Timeshare. There was a part of me that, while living in the barracks as a single bachelor on a government installation, getting paid as an E5, 9-10 year E5, ranking over $3,000 a month. Making good money, living in the barracks for free. So like a timeshare, being access to 4 to 5 star timeshare resorts and little motel hotel places, Eco Lodge or whatever, Marriott's and all that kind of stuff. Access to these different things when I travel, and having just a amazing experience, and Hamptons and Hiltons and everything else, or my actual Wyndham or WorldMark timeshare resorts. It was worth the money up until I got out of the military. Then things are a lot harder. I have rent and utilities to pay, and buy my own food and all this other kind of stuff, and then college to do and all that. So a few years later, after I got out, I put it up for sale, and a couple of years after that, I finally sold it. But I originally purchased a bronze membership. I wish I would have kept that, but stayed with it, not increased it to silver membership a few years later. And I wasted like 40, 50 additional $1,000 increasing the membership. I wish I would have stayed at the bronze. I wish I would understand it's like a car. You don't exactly always need to buy a brand spanking new car. You go to a dealership and buy a newer car that's slightly used, and you're paid way, way less. And you could do the same thing with like a timeshare membership. So if I ever had lots of money again and wanted a timeshare membership again, I can go through different agencies and buy used ones, and they're like a fraction of the price. But when I screwed up, and once I had it at Fort Lewis before Iraq, and I got back from Iraq, I had it in Hawaii, used it after Afghanistan, and then I went to Fort Carson. Eventually I used it up in Steamboat Springs, the ski resort and all that. And I went to one of their meetings to get a free $100 prepaid debit card for going to the meeting, and they convinced me to go from a bronze membership, 12,000 credits per year, to 20,000 credits per year silver membership, and it cost me an additional $40,000 10-year contract, high interest rate. 6 months later, I realized how big I screwed up, and I over an entire year I used about an average of 12,000 credits. So I should have just stayed at there. I wasted money. But the one thing about screwing up, you got to make mistakes to learn from them, is that I got very inventive and creative of how to solve my new financial issue in a very unique, creative way. Got very inventive and saved myself, God, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars by doing what I did. So, got very creative with problem solving. And what I pretty much did was I talked to my bank and I looked into how much could I qualify for at my current credit score and all that for a personal loan, turn in the title to my '09 Hyundai Sonata auto loan at whatever current mileage, and then take $1,000 of my own money, combine all those together, and I'm able to pay off the 10-year high interest rate WorldMark by Wyndham timeshare contract. Now, and that will look good on my credit in several months as well. It'll do a boost. So there's that. But then, so what I did is I transferred it from being a timeshare contract over to a personal loan auto loan that were both, instead of 10-year contract with a timeshare, it was 5-year contracts for each at lower interest rates, like a little under half of what the timeshare interest rate was. So just by doing that alone, it cost me about $1,000 out of my own pocket as well to get the total amount to pay off the 10-year timeshare contract. So it's like you got to get inventive. You got to get creative with oh, I've got a problem. What is the solution? One of my deep core beliefs is every question has an answer. Every problem, issue, scenario has some kind of a solution. Even if you come up with one or several ideas, answers, or solutions, you may not like it, or other people may not like it, but that's not really your problem. You're just the idea guy. You're coming up with some kind of answer or solution rather than none at all. So there's always an answer to everything. But you gotta really deeply think and look inside of yourself, and here's the situation. How can I solve it? What are my options? And get creative. Learn how to become a multitask problem solver. Okay, we're going into something that's a couple things all kind of combined together. So I had a situation in Hanau, Germany when I was stationed there for 2 years. And in August of '07, there was this unit barbecue mandatory fun day. And there was a situation, the actual unit photographer forgot his camera, lives 90 minutes away from the base, so round trip would be 3 hours to go get it. I had bought a brand new, my very first Vivitar digital camera, and so I told him how I took a little bit of photography in middle school, and my barracks are right there, and so I go get the camera, and I'm the designated photographer for this unit barbecue, taking pictures of all different types of people doing different things, doing different activities, card games, board games, somebody's barbecuing, some people playing flag football, frisbee, catch, all this other kind of stuff. And there's this one female soldier who kind of looked like Ava Mendez a little bit, but with solid like black hair. And she was gorgeous and good looking, and a bit of a drama queen, an attention seeker. She jumped, like photo bombed about 90% of all the pictures I was taking of other people doing other things. And at one point in time, we were under a large gazebo, sitting at a card table. She's sitting across from me. She's wearing this revealing tank top, and she's like looking in different directions. I'm playing with the digital camera, and I'm trying to adjust the brightness, get it more focused, adjust the color, get better, sharper pictures. Because the first time me really using it. And it must have gone off without me knowing it. There's these 2 pictures of her on it with that I didn't get her permission. I didn't even know that they were there. And then a couple days later, she was like, "Hey, you're the one who took the pictures of the event. I know I jumped in a lot of those. Can I get the camera and then look over to see if you took really good pictures? I want to. If you did, I want to get copies." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Here you go." And then there's these 2 pictures that she didn't authorize of her looking away and her boobs nearly hanging out of her tank top. And I did not know they were there. So the very next day, it's a Friday, she goes to work and she tells her supervisor, and she's trying to file sexual harassment charges against me. What she did not know is that right after that work day, one of her exes who she works with stopped by my barracks room, knocked on my door, and informed me and gave me a bit of a heads up that, hey, by next Monday, when we go into work after PT, when you go in the main office, you're probably going to be, talked to by the company commander, first sergeant. An investigation's going to be done of, someone's trying to file sexual harassment charges and why, and all this other kind of stuff. So just so give you a heads up. And so, that situation was very, very unique. And by him giving me a bit of a heads up, I started thinking about what happened, what was the problem, how can I prepare for the possible negative outcomes if this investigation goes through and I'm guilty, or they find me guilty, and then I get in trouble. What are the different possibility outcomes? How can I mitigate the punishments? So it's things like loss of one rank, loss of pay for a month or two or whatever. Confined to the base for up to like 90 days, I think, or it could be up to 120, something like that. And other things. One of my creative ideas is that, hey, this whole thing had to do with digital pictures. So the possibility, not really likely, but possibility that what if part of my punishment is I have to hand receipt over my laptop and digital camera to one of my NCO supervisors. They turn it into the S6 section of my unit, dealing with computers and software and hard drives and all that. They wipe my hard drive clean, and then they hand it back to me, or give it back to my NCOs to give it back to me. And so, so I didn't go out as much for the couple months, the 2 months the investigation was going on, and then I started saving more money, didn't really hardly do anything. What can I do if I got punished in a variety of ways other than, getting kicked fully out of the military? Possibly, that's very highly unlikely, knowing this is the very first, issue in my career I've ever done. And so, the punishment would probably be, somewhat light, though. Probably the hardest thing would be being moved to a different unit at a different base to get to separate me from her. But anyway, so I thought about these different possibilities. So one thing I thought about the very first day when her ex informed me, gave me a bit of a heads up, is I said this the story. I got my story straight. I said it over and over and over and over and over and over again, either whispering it to myself in my barracks room or saying it in my head about 900 to 1,000 times until I got my story straight. And where did I get that idea from? Because I had a personal experience when I was younger, of sophomore year in high school. My ex-stepfather of 11 years in my family was abusive to me and my mom and my brothers in pretty much every way, shape, and form you could think of. And so when I stood up to him and I fought him and I defeated him and I got rid of him, and I went into 2 different foster homes, me and my younger brother did, for about 10 months of my sophomore year in high school. And once we got out, my mom forced me to go take some counseling, like free counseling. So they're like all brand new counselors, maybe been doing it for several months. That's it. They're certified, but they're not like 10-year, 20-year, 30-year experience counselors, because those charge buttload. And my mom's pretty much living off welfare because now she's on her own with us kids. So doing free counseling. And anyway, I talked to several counselors. Finally bond with one of them. They're all telling me pretty much the same thing. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you thought about this? Have you tried this? And it's like, yeah, I've done all that stuff, guys, And I was like, Mom, this is a waste of time. I got what I wanted. I got rid of our abusive ex-stepfather. I won. I defeated him where you and Stuart failed, knowing that you guys, older brother was 2 years older than me, and at the time when I faced him, it was 15 3/4. And my mom was 37 3/4, and I did their jobs for them because they're too much of scared little cowards to do the right thing, and they don't want to, and they care more about safety and security of the benefits our stepfather provided, because he was a good provider, had a good amount of money, and a bit of a good hunter-fisher as well, but not a good actual father figure. And all that. So I had to do their jobs, and I wasn't afraid to do it, and I'm willing to risk my life to fight for my rights, voice, and freedom where they were not. So, went through that experience, went through a counselor, and then when I told her, hey, I'm done with this. I don't want to do anymore. So she's like, okay, let me go talk to the counselor you've been talking to for a while and get any close out advice and let her know that we're going to pull you out. And so she went in the office, closed the door, but the office, was closed off, but it had like a little cracked window. I sat outside in the seat outside the office, and I could overhear what the counselor's telling my mom. And pretty much what the counselor told her is that all the small claims that I made of the accusations of my stepfather, she believes. None of the story, all the stuff lined up with everything. But the more extreme, serious, that also happened a lot longer, many years ago when I was a lot younger, some of my stories changed slightly. And I guess that brings upon doubt. And so she's telling my mom, as a certified counselor, that she doesn't fully believe the more serious accusations I had against my stepfather. And because this person is a certified counselor, but just not a experienced, very, very experienced seasonal counselor, my mom believed every word and like, oh my God, my children lied and broke up my second marriage, and now I'm going to hold it against him for the next 20 years, and I'm going to punish him every now and then. That's pretty much what happened. I found out a few years ago that's what she's hurt me. She's stolen a credit card and didn't pay it off completely, and it hurt my credit, and stolen money from me multiple times and all this kind of stuff. This is as sort of not only because of selfishness and greed, but also payback for ruining her second marriage. So, when I, learned about that, how the counselor was telling my mom that she doesn't believe me. And it wasn't that I was lying. I wasn't lying at all. What it was, it was so long ago, these more serious things, like multiple years back. And I was young, so it's like, hey, the memory's kind of foggy. And so as I talk about it more and more consistently, the fog is lifting. The details are becoming more clear. So it's not that I'm lying. It's the fact that I was I said there was he turned on the TV and there was some sort of music playing. And I think I said it was like a Disney Channel. Well, my mom doesn't get the Disney Channel, so how could it be the Disney Channel? It could have been CMT, Country Music Station. It could have been MTV, whatever, if that happened at this, abusive event and whatever. There was some kind of music playing on the TV. I don't remember exactly what channel it was. And that was a big factor of like, oh, he's lying, No, I wasn't. So, and so that's kind of the thing. Hey, if your kids are warning you about a significant other, and they're telling you don't marry this person, stop dating this person, get away from this person, the parents need to freaking listen to their kids, because the kids should come first, not the piece of crap significant other, whether they can provide really well or not. Who cares? Fight for your rights, voice, and freedoms of what you believe, deeply believe to be right and wrong. Don't put up with bullying and abuse. And so a part of that, another experience to go along with that for this unit barbecue sexual harassment charge thing and how I handled it was when I was in high school. Another experience was I took part in an advanced art class on this ginormous roll out comic book strip. And I learned by being very unique and creative. I had an art teacher who's a friend of the family, kind of like a second mom to me. She, we do these comic strips, and these comic strips, she had been doing it for over 30 years, maybe even 40 years. And what I did, she has never seen with anybody else before. And what it was is the comic strips are like little comic strips on a ginormous yellow poster board that you put up in the gymnasium for like basketball and volleyball and all that for the year. And it's pretty much, bringing inspiring our high school mascots and teams, but yet putting other schools down. So there's a winner, there's a loser, just like in sports. And that's one reason why I don't like sports, mostly. There's, why does there have to be a winner and a loser? Why can't there be two winners? So my mentality is, how can I do this where I get the assignment done, but I make it where I bring up our school and inspire our school and mascot and everything, but not put any other schools down. So like an example of a normal one was, we're gonna, sweep up the competition, and the comic skit was someone breaking the large rectangular wall mirror glass, and then taking a broom and a dustpan, and like the broom and dustpan are our high school mascot, and we're sweeping up the competition. The competition is broken glass and throwing it in a dumpster. That was like one of the things that I remember of the comic book skit. So it's bringing us up and putting other schools down. I didn't do that. I took an image of an old art piece that I did, pen and ink dotting stippling of Super Saiyan 3 Goku from Dragon Ball Z going Super Saiyan 3. And I did a military basic training motto of pain is temporary, pride is forever. Kelso Highlanders, that's our mascot, will live on. So it's making us, but I did, instead of normal Goku uniform, martial arts uniform colors, I did more of what our school colors were, blue, white, and gold. So more like the Saiyan warrior armor, like that looked like Vegeta's kind of stuff. His outfit, his normal outfit for most of early Dragon Ball Z. And so I did that, and with Super Saiyan 3 Goku with the long, glowing, powerful hair and all that kind of stuff, and then did that motto. So I inspired people like, hey, Kelso Highlanders, are mighty and strong and powerful, and we will survive and live on and all this. But I put no other schools down with my, and so the teacher loved it so much that she put it dead center in the gymnasium, dead center with all the other comic skits to the left and the right. She's like, I have never seen that. I took a little longer to come up with my idea. Like I was like a week behind from everybody else, but then I finished it. And it's like, that is amazing. I think I have one actual photograph photo of a picture of it from a, old developing film, use one time kind of a disposable camera. That's the word I'm looking for. So by doing that, coming up with that experience process, dealing with the counselor, getting your story straight, and dealing with the thinking about, you turning, trying to, instead of one person winning, one person losing, turning both situations into winners. How can both sides win? That rolled in as for those past experiences. I combined it with this sexual harassment experience at this unit barbecue in Hanau, Germany in summer of '07. And pretty much what I did was, first got my story straight. And so that way there was no ifs, ands, or buts. And they would interrogate me once a day, Monday through Friday, sometimes twice. Who the higher officer and my NCO was in the room and everything. And after 2 whole months, the chain of command went and talked to my NCO because my NCO was dating this female at the time. So it's like we're getting ready to close out the investigation, but we need to know 100% certain that this female soldier wants to fully push through and go through the whole thing, or does she want to possibly cancel it? And hopefully this boyfriend, and who's my supply sergeant at the time, could hopefully convince her somehow, some way, because everything I'm telling everybody, it's a complete accident. It was not done on purpose, and nobody got harmed. I didn't put my hands on anybody. There was no nudity or anything like that. I didn't post anything on the internet. Nothing. It was just a complete freak accident. So anyway, so that's so he got us together, knocked on her door, my door. We got together, talked in a day room, and she asked me some random off the wall question, had nothing to do with the situation, to see if she could believe me. I told the truth, answered her question to the best of my ability, and she's like, I don't care, I don't believe him. I looked him dead in the eye, I just don't believe him. So I want his career, I want his ass, I want his rank. Handed to me on a silver platter. I want to push through. And my supply sergeant was like, are you serious right now? You're willing to affect a young soldier's career, first time he's ever done anything wrong, and when this whole thing started, out of a unit of nearly 100 personnel, half the unit was on your side, the other half was on his side at the beginning, and now 2 months later, nobody's on your side, everybody's on his side, because everybody, you want drama, you are an attention seeker, you just like being in the limelight. It was a complete freak in accident. Everybody thinks you're over exaggerating because you love drama. And he's just not this type of person. He's not a pervert. He's not a creeper. He loves volunteering. He loves helping people. So it was really about our character, and how we treated ourselves, how we carried ourselves, how we treated other people. He's like, I've been in every single one of the investigation meetings, and his story has not changed, not at all, because I got my story straight up like 3 days before the investigation started. So I thought ahead. Preparedness. Preparedness will always pay off. But then another thing happened. This is where that comic strip and thinking ahead and winning, setting it up, where other people pretty much are playing the life journey game of checkers, thinking 1 to 3 steps ahead. I'm playing three-dimensional Star Trek chess. I'm thinking 2 months to 2 years ahead, 20 steps to 200 steps ahead. I'm thinking in multi dimensions, and not many people can really keep up with me, and I keep things to myself. And so, it's about character, attitude, behavior, how you answer things, all that kind of stuff is important. Details are important, preparedness is important. The very next day after her ex informed me of, what he overheard, and, to get ready for the following Monday, workday, I thought about something else. And I thought about preparedness. I thought about, if I get punished, how could it affect me in like financially and all that kind of stuff. And when I came up with that idea that hey, it's all about digital pictures, they could wipe my hard drives on my laptop and my digital camera completely and hand it back to me as part of the punishment. I thought that would be the military doing it, not her. And so what happened is after we got done talking in the day room, she's like, okay, I'll drop the charges, because her new boyfriend, my supply sergeant, was willing to threaten ending their relationship if she's willing to be this unreasonable. So, but she had a term and a condition. So I'll get to that here in a second. So anyway, I thought about I remembered a Martin Lawrence movie called Blue Streak. If you've never seen it, it's a pretty good movie. And Martin Lawrence from Bad Boys with Will Smith, so his partner. And in Blue Streak movie, he's a jewel thief. He has a team. They're getting into this like museum place, stealing this huge diamond. And pretty much one of them is taking everybody else out, betraying them to get the diamond for himself. They go against each other. He does like a shooting zip line thing over to another building across the street that's under construction. He gets in there. He's hiding in through the vents from the bad guy. He hides the diamond in a pouch, duct tape to a specific section in the air vent, and then gets out of the air vent, gets caught by security for the new building being built. So he goes to jail for a couple of years. He remembers the section of the air vent and the exact street address section as well. And then he goes to jail, gets out a couple of years later, and when he gets out, he comes to find out that the building he needs to get into to get to the diamond is became a police station. So now he has to become a fake cop in order to get in there and get the diamond. And so I kind of used, I pay attention to, storylines, details, creativity, like MacGyver kind of stuff. And I got creative. And so I went on that Saturday, 2 days before the investigation started, and I got accused of the sexual harassment charges from this female soldier, and my chain of command informed me. So on a Saturday, I go to the nearby base that has a PX, kind of like a Walmart, and buy the largest thumb drive I could get. And I think it was like 250 gigs or 100 gigs or something like that. And then I backed up the very little, like 150, 200 digital pictures on my laptop. Put it in a little Ziploc bag, used duct tape, screwdriver, and we lived in a 4-story barracks room on this Germany installation. And no soldiers only lived on the first floor, which is where I lived and she lived, and some soldiers on the second floor. Nobody lived on the third and fourth floor. So I went up to the fourth floor, went into the middle of the building, male public bathroom latrine, went inside and unscrewed an air vent underneath the sink. And then in an X pattern with the Ziploc bag with the thumb drive in the center, and put it in the air vent as deeply in there as I could get, and all that. Next 2 months, took part in 2 local activities, little fair things. Had pictures of those, so pulled out the thumb drive from the male bathroom air vent on the 4th floor, hooked it up to my computer, put the new pictures on there, then put back. Then, so when she's willing to drop the charges, her condition, she had one condition: me, her, and him go into my barracks room. I log in on my laptop, and she gets to comb through all my digital pictures, and any picture that I have of her that she does not want me to have, she gets to delete and empty out the trash can. So doing what the S6 section would have done. But it wasn't the actual military, it was her who was doing it. So, and I did ask her, I'll agree on one condition: any of the pictures that it's not one or just a couple people in the picture, that, and it's showing her full body. It's me with like the entire, like half the unit, 50 personnel, or the entire 100 personnel unit, big unit picture where all you see is our heads out of a crowd popping up. Leave those ones alone. She's like, yeah, sure, I could do that. Did she do that? No. She did whatever the hell she wanted. She does what most women do: say one thing, do another. Do whatever the hell she feels like. And so she went against her word. So don't feel so bad that I agreed to her terms. I'm like, this is really stupid, but okay, if it drops the charges and drops the headache and all this goes away, fine. You can get on my computer, let me log on, and you can comb through and delete everything. Except for those one type of pictures. But she deleted everything that she didn't like and emptied out the trash can. What she didn't know is I had hidden backups. So what I actually did was, there was a win-win. She was the actual loser, but I made her think that she was the winner. And I was the real winner, but I acted like the loser. I played along. So, and so she got what she wanted and walked away happily, and I got what I wanted and walked away happily. She was the real loser, but she just didn't know because I would never tell her. And then when it comes to that kind of stuff, you got to be careful. Did you break a rule, law, regulation, and policy? Do you know what it is? How long is the statute of limitations? And then you can start telling people once the statute of limitations has expired. So but I was smart also. I didn't go get the thumb drive like that day, the very next day, 2 or 3 days later. I waited about, 120 days later, nearly 4 months, 3 to 4 months later. And then half the unit that was there for the barbecue was already PCSing or ETSing, going on to a new duty station or getting out of the Army altogether and going somewhere else. So most of the people that were there, a part of the whole situation, a part of the event, was no longer around. So I waited patiently and all that. I'm disciplined. I'm patient like a saint. And then went and got the thumb drive 120 days later, hooked it up to my computer. And then to this day, that soldier does not know, that female soldier doesn't know. Everything she deleted to drop the charges, I got back and still have to this day. So I outsmarted them, and I did tell my old supply sergeant buddy after I got out of the military, like beginning of 2017, hit him up on Facebook, talked to him on the phone. We got caught up, and I told him, and he laughed his butt off. He could not stop laughing, and like, I never thought that you were that smart or creative or devious or what. You're a genius. Oh my God, fist bump, high five, pat on the back, and all that other kind of stuff. So, you just got to get creative, and got to know how to play the game, the three-dimensional Star Trek chess game called life, and how to outsmart people. And it's about character and keeping calm, cool, collective, and knowing what you're doing, and not spreading it around and leaving evidence and everything. So yeah, and the thing was, when they dropped the charges, they informed me if any new information came up over the next 24 months, that they could reopen the case, and I could get even more severely punished and even go to jail, dishonorable discharge, all that kind of stuff. So so once by September of 09 happened, about that time I was leaving Fort Lewis and going to Baghdad, Iraq. So but once that hit, then I could tell anybody, because their statute of limitation was 24 months for the case to be reopened, and a more severe punishment. So it's like, if you know you're going to do something wrong, keep it to yourself. Don't leave evidence, proof of any kind of pictures, videos, whatever, and don't tell anybody until statute of limitation has surpassed. Hey, you're following the rules and the laws. They don't like it. Tough. Remain clean and organized, for your home, your work environment especially. Details matter. being very detail oriented and all that. And so, one thing, I have a new YouTube video recently talking about my Colorado unemployment overpayment amount that I fought with 3 appeals packets and 2 waivers, a digital and paper waiver. And so details matter. And then in that case, it really freaking mattered. Because I kept records, like a journal record and everything. Kept copies of all the documentation I filled out. I kept a written, like, journal record typed up of who did I talk to, what day, what time, what were their names, what were their employee numbers, what did they tell me to do, what they told me not to do. And followed everything step by step, dealing with the federal government. Details matter, paperwork matters. And then I kept copies of everything, and then submitted them in my appeals packets. And by the third appeals packet, my final one, I had evidence proof. I had I think it was like a 10-page step-by-step journal of exactly what happened from the very beginning to the very end. And because they paid me a certain amount for several months, shut the whole system down, brought it back up brand new, and then saying that they overpaid me too much, and out of over $28,000 that they've given me in unemployment in 7 months, I owed them $13,000 in overpayment amount back. And I'm like, no, I do not. And this is why. And here's all the evidence proof. And I had exhibits for evidence proof of Alpha through November. So it was like 14, 15 exhibits, something like that. So, and I won because I kept track of everything, all the details and receipts and everything, paperwork and everything. In fact, another major experience that saved my entire field artillery battery chain of command leadership, who was E7, Sergeant First Class and above, who was still in my unit from their last deployment. I got there as part of rear detachment, and then the unit came back from Iraq. So anybody was down there, there was a flipple going on, a $2 million flipple. And a flipple for the Army is a financial liability investigation report for lost, damaged, or destroyed property. And if a flipple is created and it's $1 million or more, the however many star, the top ranking star general, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star general of the military post has eyes on it. It was 2 stars for us at Fort Lewis. Somehow, in their last deployment, they lost a couple of vehicles that were worth like $2.2 million. How do you lose vehicles? How did they just disappear, And so what I did is, when I first got there, cleaned and organized the foundation of my supply department. I went through tons of boxes, cardboard boxes, files that were all jumbled, mixed together, clean and organize them, get rid of old ones that are way too expired, kind of like your tax paperwork you hold on to 7 years. And certain type of paperwork, same thing, you hold on for 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 7 years, 9 years, whatever. And so I go through everything, and I fine-tune the paperwork, then organize the filing cabinet. And now that that's all done, and it's like, hey, I didn't create that flipple. The people who I took over for created. I don't have a copy. Can I get a copy from higher up battalion? So I got a copy, and I was like, how did this happen? Now that my files, all paperwork files, are all straight and very organized and detailed, and so I can go comb through and try to find those serial numbered vehicle pieces of equipment, and when did we get issued them? And when were they put in for maintenance? When did they have spare parts? And all this other kind of stuff. Look through the history of the equipment. And by doing so, after about 2.5 weeks of deep dive research, a little bit each day, while I was also doing other, things that need to be done that present moment, then I finally found exactly what I was looking for. I found the documentation, a LAL transfer document showing that we transferred it to another unit while they were still in Iraq, but the paperwork didn't get pushed through. It's like they received the equipment, but the equipment serial number stayed on our property book. So they're saying that we have it, but someone else physically has it. So I discovered that, showed my PBO, we contacted the unit, they verified that they had it at their motor pools, those specific serial numbered vehicles. And then we closed out the old document, opened up a new document, sent it to them. They signed it, we signed it, transfer was done, and then the $2.2 million flipple went away. So when that happened, some amazing things happened. That was like my second or third month. Like I hadn't even been an E5 supply sergeant for 100 days. It was like just under that. And so I the general and the brigade, the sorry, division sergeant major of the post came down to surprise my company commander, First Sergeant XO, had them come down to meet me and like, who is this person who, this thing had been going, it was like 10 days. Oh, it's like, almost like 100 days of investigation, 10 days away from being, fully shut down and completed. And they pretty much told me that the general, two-star general and the division sergeant major came down to meet me, shake my hand, give me a command sergeant major and two-star general coins, handshake, good job, you're doing a great job. I was shocked and floored that you were able to figure it out and everything. How did you do it and everything? And I explained the situation, and he's like, You've probably been doing it for a while. You've been doing this at least 3 to 5 years, haven't you? Being a E5 supply sergeant. It's like, sir, I just got promoted 3 months ago. He's like, you're kidding. And so then he was like, holy crap. He reaches in his pocket to pull out another coin and shakes my hand again. And he tells my chain of command, like, this does not leave this room. No one else in this unit is supposed to know this, okay? If that $2.2 million Flipple for lost, damage, and destroyed property investigation would have gone through, every single E7 or above who was a part of this Iraq deployment, no matter whether they're a part of the unit or not, or somewhere else or whatever, they'll be contacted. They're going to get kicked out of the Army, and they're going to be massively charged depending on rank and stuff, so to cover the cost, but with a depreciation price of the equipment. So I saved pretty much half my chain of command leadership, the E7 or above. And so, and then that general and sergeant major told my first sergeant XO, he's one of the good ones. If he has any problems and issues, and he asked me, do I have any problems and issues within the unit? I did have some with some higher up platoon and platoon sergeants, platoon officers giving me a hard time, pulling me in many directions. Everybody's saying everything's a top priority. And so the commander and first sergeant XO, like, okay, we're going to talk to all those platoon sergeants and platoon officers. If they, other than getting supplies from you, if they ever need anything more serious that's not quick, easy, and simple, they're going to come to us, company commander, first sergeant XO, and then we will inform you. They have to go through us to get to you, unless it's just get basic supplies from your supply office, like printer paper and toner and pens and pencils and stuff like that, or talk about a single, like, look up a serial number item on their hand receipt or something like that. If it's simple, they'll come to you, but if it's more complex or they have an issue with you, they won't come to you and yell at you and scream at you and bully you and abuse you. They'll tell us, the higher ups, and then we'll inform you. So that everybody's going to go through us before they get to you, because you don't work for all of them. You work directly for the first sergeant, company commander, and XO lieutenant. You don't work for anybody else. So if you watch our backs, we'll watch yours. And that's what the general told them to do. And then everything started getting so much better after that in my unit. So there's a major experience right there of the details matter. It can, digging deep into things can really pay off. A part of that is, good employees. You have to deal with the past, present, and prepare for the future. So in the same scenario situation, just getting to that unit, just got promoted to supply sergeant in a field artillery battery at Fort Lewis. There were 2 other E4 supply clerks. One was about to get out of the Army. One was going to another unit. And they did the bare freaking minimum. They did whatever needed to be done for that day. Didn't really think about the future, prepare for them. They might have thought about one day ahead. That was it. They didn't do anything really right. The proper process, the proper procedures. For example, supposed to set up your computer system. connected to the SSA warehouse on base, putting in orders of printer paper, pens, pencils, office supplies, uniforms, whatever. And they weren't doing that. They would like, oh, we want to get away from the unit. Let's go get a vehicle from the motor pool, sign it out, or go to other supply offices at every unit in the area, knock on their door, have a supply list of what we need, and try to get a little here, little there, like bartering and all that, and begging, pretty much being one of those homeless people with the cardboard sign. So they didn't want to set up. It took me 2 days to set up the computer system to start ordering our own supplies. So they didn't want to do it the right way. They wanted to do it the absolute bare minimum, act like they're, busting their butt, doing the right thing every day, but they wanted to run and hide because they want everything to be easy. You can't just focus. If you want a better environment, you want to churn it from a piece of crap to a fine-tuned, well-oiled machine for your department and your whole unit. Where you have no major headaches and issues that pop up in surprise, and you're running around with your head cut off and all that, and you're exhausted, and putting in like a day and a half work day and all that, or 2 whole days without hardly any rest, because I've done that. And then you need to be working on the present, prepare for the future, and you also need to fix things from the past. If that means you need to put in a little bit of elbow grease, overtime, everybody else goes to home after 4 or 5 p.m. and you're there until 9 p.m. or 2 in the morning, and then depending on where your office is located, maybe even go in for an 8-hour Saturday, an 8-hour Sunday, one of those, or 4-hour Saturday, 4-hour Sunday, put in a whole extra day, but nobody else is around bugging you about many other things. You're not being distracted, so you're deep diving and you're cleaning and organizing and fixing and preparing for future things, and you're trying to fix all the messed up things in the computer system or in the supply room or paperwork or whatever. You got to put in the overtime, even though in the military you don't get actually paid overtime. I kind of look at getting disability later on after I got out of the military, going from 10% to 40%, a 4-year back pay and all this kind of stuff that I wasn't expecting. Large chunk of change over 25 grand. I kind of looked at as, that was my extra money for doing all the massive overtime that I put in but didn't get paid for. It got, karma. Yin yang balance in the world, it came back to me at some point because I gave it my freaking all. Every single time I became a supply sergeant for Fort Lewis Field Artillery Battery, for Aviation Maintenance Unit in Wheeler Army Airfield, Oahu, Hawaii, who I went to Afghanistan with, and then a Horizontal Engineering Unit in Fort Carson, Colorado. Went to Liberia, Africa with them for 3 months, humanitarian mission, helping out with the Ebola outbreak. Worked with FEMA and Red Cross representatives there for 3 months. And pretty much by doing all that, every unit I get it to, they were at like a 3% or a 5%, and I got them up to either a 95 to a 100% within the 2-year time frame I was within each of those units, because I cared. I didn't always like my job, and you won't always. It's stressful, it's exhausting. You're going to have to do a lot of things you don't want to do, but you know what? You want to make it better and easier for you. Give it your absolute best. Leave it better than you found it. Improve upon it in big ways. And then, it'll make your life in the long run in the job easier. So churn the horrible environment and make it better. Improve upon, this is how it was before and it sucked and you guys didn't do anything and you did everything the wrong way, to churning it into the right way. And when it's done the right way, it's a well-oiled, efficient machine. And, things can get done easier, quicker, faster, more effective, and more efficient. And then once everything's 100%, which I've gotten to before, how I look at every area of how can we improve upon it? How can we make it better than it already is? Keep looking at it that way, and your work environment and your career and everything will take the hell off, because I may not like my job always, but I care about my responsibility and with a passion. Why? Because if a supply person fails, people can get hurt or die. That's why I took it seriously. A lot of my other fellow supply people throughout my battalion, other units and all that, and I helped them, they helped me. I trained some of them and all that. They're like, a lot of them went for higher rank levels quicker than me. They pushed themselves to do that, get higher rank than me faster. But they're like, you were a true, to the freaking core, quartermaster supply sergeant. You knew things that people double your rank and double your experience couldn't figure out and solve. You were a master of your logistical craft. That's how what they told me. So it's like if we need anything, we need a multitask problem solver or whatever. Because in Hawaii, I went from a 3% logistical efficiency. 2 whole years later, 12 of those months in Afghanistan, came back from Afghanistan, new inspection by battalion or brigade, and I went from a 3% to a 100% logistical efficiency known as CSDP, Command Supply Discipline Program inspection. It was the first one in my entire brigade's 86-year history, and I got the first 100%. There were some like 95s up to 98, but no one ever got 100. I got 100, and because of that, I got 3 military medal ribbon awards in a single day. So, and my chain of command was like, dang, he knows what he's doing. We got to listen to him. He has problems. We need to listen, pay attention, wake up, listen. Sergeant Wanamaker's talking, so it must be important. So my voice was heard. I was heard. My hard work paid off, and got me the respect that I deserved. So, let's see, where was I? I talked a little bit about this. I'll go a little bit more detail, especially with the personal experience of how to deal with higher ranking NCOs officers or like supervisors, managers, the type of people that allow their rank, title, position, the power of that position, title, and rank to go to their heads. They're more bosses than they are real leaders, because leaders are like teachers, instructors. They lead by example. They will never ask or tell you to do something that they're not willing to get their hands dirty and do themselves, but they are delegating down to you. And there's one of my favorite online motivational speakers is Prince EA. He's like the newer generation Martin Luther King Jr. Motivational speaker. Has many different amazing videos. Check him out. Of like, I Sued the School District, What is School For? And those two are my favorites, on top of the bosses versus leaders. I think every person in a leadership position needs to watch that video to understand the difference. Boss just wants to bark orders, order people around, and have people be afraid of them. That's not a real leader. And we have more bosses than we do leaders in companies, businesses, and within our government as well. And we need more leaders, not bosses. So, prime example of like what I'm telling, tell them what they want to hear, show them what they want to see. Supply sergeant experience, someone coming to me, I'm busy with something more important. They're yelling at, screaming me. They're higher, same rank or higher ranking than me. And they're like, stop what you're doing and pay attention to me and get me what I need and all this other kind of stuff. And they give me like, say, an NSN, National Stock Number, which I use to order like tools and office supplies and all that. And they like, I have an NSN, I got it from my higher up, and they want you to order this. I put it in the system, and it's a type of thing that it's like illegal for some reason for me to order without higher ranking authority. And they don't want to hear that. They just put it on order and give me the document number and all that. So what I did is something with the same exact nomenclature. Let's say it's a specialty tool, but if they call it like a screwdriver or a wrench or something, I pull up my list of supplies that I've ordered in the past, and I'll just go, that's like maybe close to the exact same NSN, but it's not the exact same item, and that one is not illegal to order that, give them a document number, and like, okay, now it's kind of out of my hands. If it gets canceled, that's way above my pay grade. And so I tell them what they want to hear, I show them what they want to see, and then they're like, okay, thank you, Roger, Roger, I'm going to shut up, do an about face, and get the hell out of your office and out of your hair. A big major experience I had in this was July of 2016, if I remember correctly, out at the Columbia River Gorge, Multnomah Falls Lodge. I was home in the area from Fort Carson, Colorado, and I was on block leave, visiting home, and I went on, took my 72-hour survival bug-out bag out to Triple Falls and camped out. This is just a couple of weeks before the Labor Day 2017 Eagle Creek fire occurred that burned down that area. And so I camped out with my bug-out bag, and a part of my bug-out bag is my old military woodland camouflage BDU uniforms, and on those, the patches were sewn on. Later on, ACUs and multicams. I have the Velcro name tapes and patches and all that. So, and there's a regulation policy in the military that you can use uniforms for recreational purposes like airsoft and paintball and all that, but you can't have military name tapes, patches, all that on it. Well, I didn't want to damage my older uniforms from my Fort Vancouver Army Reserve days, so I didn't remove the patches. So I, after my hike, the next morning wake up, get back to my car, go to the Molten Falls Lodge, get some meal before getting back in my car to head back to Fort Carson and sign out on leave. And along my way, I'll stop at a rest stop and take off the uniform and put back on civilian clothes. Well, there's some sergeant major, in PT workout, outfit, but it's military workout outfit. You can see it's military. It has like sergeant major emblems and stuff on it. And he's like, "You, soldier, come here." Because I'm walking across the street from the building, Molten Falls building, to my car, and he sees me in uniform. And he's like, "You come here." I'm like, "Who are you? Are you an actual active duty veteran, or did you just get that? Are you civilian and you got that from a surplus store or whatever?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm a supply sergeant at Fort Carson, this unit and all that." I don't know your story. I don't know how long you've been in, but are you not aware that you can only use uniforms for recreational purposes if you take off all the name tapes and patches and all that? And I actually already knew that. I just didn't care because I didn't want to rip off these sewn on patches. So I'm not hurting anybody or anything. The ground is not opening up and swallowing me whole. The sky is not raining fire because I'm wearing freaking patches on an older uniform that I'm using for a recreational purpose. It's not hurting anybody other than his, the itching in his head that he's got to enforce things. So anyway, I told him no, I was not aware of that when I actually was. I told him what he wanted to hear, showed him what he wanted to see. And then I was like, I'm getting ready to head back to Fort Carson right now to sign off. I'll leave. When I get back my first day back to the office, on my lunch break, I will go in the regulations in uniforms, and I will look that up. And if you are correct, I will correct myself, and I will remove the patches from my uniform. It's like, if you want to, you could like rip them off right now. I got a knife and stuff, And he's like, no, you go verify and then correct yourself. Like, it's good to hear. Okay. I had no intention of actually doing that. I already knew he was right. I just didn't care. So, and like, there's that old saying, rules, laws, regulations, and policies are meant to be bent and broken every now and then. Some of them are so stupid. There's so many of them as well. It's like we have so many. We need to like, go through, comb through all of them and null and void a lot of them and cancel them out, fine tune them, make it more, detailed and strict across the line, more easier to read and all that, more common, more easier, to enforce, so, but, so I told them what they wanted to hear, showed them what they wanted to see. So there's another example. I did total, after getting out of the military in September 2016, by the beginning of 2017, I started college. I did a total of 5 semesters at Pikes Peak Community College in Colorado Springs Community College. Got my associate's degree, then took about 14, 15 months off working full-time as a Lyft driver to save up over 20 grand in my pocket to be able to have enough money with a bunch left over to be able to move back to the Pacific Northwest where I'm in now. And then by end of August 2020, started my 6th semester to my 10th semester at Washington State University, Vancouver. One of my biggest life learning lessons was, apply for the FAFSA grants and apply for as many freaking scholarships as humanly possible, spending 1 or 2 whole days during the first week of every college semester, because by the second week it's going to start getting a little crazy busy. So by the first week, and the thing that I learned at the first couple semesters is for scholarships that you're actually looking up and doing a search block and a filter and all that for like business accounting degrees and applying for those. Don't just apply for scholarships that go towards your degree that you're going for. Also apply for scholarships that go towards your life circumstances. For example, I was in foster care for two different foster homes 10 months out of my sophomore year. If I would have gotten the paperwork together, content like DSHS or CPS or something like that, then and I got an evidence proof of that paperwork, I could apply for a scholarship for foster care. I could have applied for one if I can get all the paperwork together, which would take a major long time to do. 1/8 Cherokee and 1/8 Wyandot Native American, but I'm not a part of any tribes. But if I show that lineage of how we're related to Native Americans within our blood, then we get, could qualify possibly for a scholarship. That would be a headache. So it's not just about, your FAFSA applies for all grants like Pell Grant and more. And then scholarships are more detailed. You apply for the ones that fit your degree and search block and filters and all that. Do your homework, apply for every single one. Even if you don't think, if you like, it could fit me but couldn't fit me, apply for it anyway, because that will be the decision of higher level government. It's not up to you, it's above your pay grade, so apply for it anyway. But spend like 1 or 2 whole days during the first week of every semester. And by me doing that, the last 9 out of 10 semesters, I pocketed a little over $76,000, and I didn't have to use it for tuition or paying off student loans. I pulled out no student loans. I got paid by the government for the post 9/11 GI Bill to go to school, being a full-time student, and as long as I passed each class with a passing grade, then the GI Bill paid for my tuition. So any grant scholarship money that I applied for, took the time to apply, and qualified, I got to pocket. And so I pocketed a little over $76,000 over a 6-year period, 5 years worth of college over 10 semesters, and took 39 classes. 38 were required to get my bachelor's. 5 semesters I got President's Honor Roll. I made President's Honor Roll, and then sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Out of the 39 classes, I got 26 A's, 11 B's, and 2 C's. So did quite well. Let's see. So apply for grants and scholarships. It could really pay off. It can benefit you hugely. Don't be one of those people, I just want to go to class and do the homework and don't do anything extra. I want to be lazy. It's probably some of the easiest, 24, 48 hours worth of money you could ever make, as long as you qualify. Think before you act in preparedness. Preparedness is so important in so many different areas. It's like, think before you act. Don't leave evidence proof. Keep it to yourself. Don't start spreading everything that you did that was a bad thing or a wrong thing and start telling everybody. You're going to get in trouble and caught. The whole like Lyft and Uber experience of mine, not getting like a dash cam, and then I got canned by Lyft after 5 years, solid 5-star driver, 5,710 fares on my last fare in picking up a woman customer who was roofied at a party, at a rave, and picked her up from the Portland hospital, took her home, and she's even like sort of blacking out, like, who are you, where am I? And I try to explain it to her, and after I dropped her off the next morning, she filed a false report against me, pulled a scam in order to get her money back because she lives out of a van onto her aunt and uncle's property, so she's cheap. So, and I didn't have a dash cam at the time to prove my innocence of her false claims. So, and even another thing of preparedness, thinking and all that is. One time when I went on my Canada road trip, a 5-week, 5,800-mile road trip, when I was back in the Pacific Northwest visiting both my brothers, I'm sleeping on my older brother's couch at his trailer. Then I see a YouTube video of how Colorado Springs, I think it was like summer 2018, Southern Colorado Springs got hit by major hailstorms, anywhere from golf, well, depending on where you're located, golf ball up to softball size hail. It killed 2 animals at the Colorado Springs Zoo. It hit them in the head and killed them. And so I'm like, and my car at the time was like 90 to 100 days old, brand new, just traded in from an '09 Sonata to a 2018 Hyundai Kona. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm a Lyft driver. That's how I'm making my money while I'm going to college. What if my car got damaged? There's so much damage to so many other vehicles. It'd be a huge line. I have to do like a $500 deductible. And then my car's in the shop for how long? And so I have to take public transportation to get to school. I'm not Lyft driving. I'm not bringing in more money. That was really scary. So I was like, okay, now I'm thinking ahead about preparedness. So I'm thinking, okay, if my car got damaged, but it wasn't a total loss, then I have to pay a $500 deductible and wait for it to get fixed. So why not go ahead and think about preparedness ahead of time? And, knowing that this happens in the area now and how severe it can get, so why not look up newer 21st century vehicle hail prevention damage devices that are out there, see what's out there, and if it's right around $500 or less, and it's good ratings and surveys and everything, then be willing to spend the money on a preparedness item that, as long as it's deployed at the right time, it could prevent any damage at all, or very, very little damage. And that's exactly what I did. I took a chance on preparedness. I spent $350 on this key remote control vehicle deployable umbrella system, large version that extends past all four corners. Has a suction cup thing on the top, and then cargo stretchy hook straps. So two straps on every side of the car from every side. It's fully strapped down. It's a vehicle deployable umbrella. Known as Lanmodo, Lanmodo, from Lanmodo.com. $350 is what I spent for navy blue large version for my car. So then told them the year, make, model. They looked up the dimensions and what size I would need and all that. They have a cheaper version, pull pen version. Open it up, put the pen back in. But they have a key remote electrical version, automatic as well. And I got that 2 weeks later. Normal hail started coming out, so I go deploy it. 20 minutes after that, between golf ball and baseball size hail, everybody in my apartment complex was like cardboard box over the head, more cardboard boxes above that, trying to throw it on their car to lessen the damage, or cardboard box over their head with a like twin bed mattress or air mattress they aired up and took out there to throw on top of the car to lighten the hit strikes. And then they look over at my car once it all passes and like, who the hell's car is that? What the hell is that umbrella thing? Where did you get it? How does it work? How much does it cost? And because everybody else's vehicle, broken windows, glass, windshields, dent damage at the tops of their cars, either major damage, not a total loss, some of them total losses, and all that. Not a single hit damage to my car. So preparedness paid off. And then because of that, over the next a few months, there weren't as many rideshare drivers who still had good running, not damaged vehicles because of the hailstorm. So I was like one of 4 Lyft drivers and maybe 4 other Uber drivers. So one of like less than a dozen drivers. I was getting fare after fare after fare after fare after fare. I made my $350 back in like 4 or 5 days. It was worth the investment for preparedness. One thing I forgot to mention also for college, not just grants and scholarships is really important, but also if they have any kind of dental programs through the college, that is a good way to get your teeth inspected, professionally cleaned, maybe drills and fillings and all that for super dirt cheap going through a college as well. So there's another excellent advice for you as well. Just realize that they will have actual dentists, but the dentists won't be doing it. They'll be student dentists, pre-dentists, dentists in training. So they might take 2 to 3 times longer digging around your mouth, and then an actual dentist come over and to inspect the dentist in training and all that. That's why. So you take a little risk, but it takes longer. They're in your mouth longer. You're on the table longer. You have to kind of be very disciplined and patient, but it's also super dirt cheap. Like I had $7,000 worth of work done for I think it was like $100, so $200. So, I already talked about the preparedness stuff. Part of, think before you act also with speed limits, driving like a maniac on the highway like it's a freaking racetrack because you got to be in front of everybody because you're impatient. And for most law enforcement, because I got my first license at 22, first car, my '09 Sonata, at 23, is like 3 months before becoming 24. And ever since then,
I've been pulled over half a dozen times and only gotten 3 speeding tickets. Only the first one did I actually deserve to get. After that, I learned my lesson, and I learned from because I've traveled to 45 of the 50 states, 3 of the 4 Hawaiian Islands, Alberta and BC, Canada, all through road trip traveling. And most cops, not all of them, some of them are very stingy, sticklers for the rules. You go 1 mile over the speed limit, they'll pull you over. Like in Grand Lake, Oklahoma, or Washington, Louisiana area, that happened to me, either 1 over, 5 over in the passing lane. But almost everywhere else, especially here in the Northwest, most cops follow the rule of thumb of 9 to 10 over, you're fine. 11 or more, you're mine. So that's 9 to 10 over the speed limit, as long as it's not super heavy traffic. It's either normal or light traffic. 9 to 10 over, you're fine. 11 or more, you're mine. So you do more than 11 miles an hour over the speed limit. So that's if you're the speed limit's 60 and you're doing 71, they'll probably or more, they'll pull you over. If you're doing 69 to 70, then they'll most likely leave you alone. And so that's thinking before you act and not getting yourself in trouble, which will cost you money in the long run. If you're going to do something bad or wrong, don't leave or take evidence. Don't take picture proof videos. Keep it to yourself. Learn the statute of limitation of what you did wrong. And prime examples of this is like on the Equalizer Denzel Washington movie. There was that rape movie scene. They bring him down to the because Denzel Washington is a Lyft driver, and a woman they took advantage of and drugged and had their way with and took pictures and videos, and he took them to the hospital and went up there and said the card got declined and everything, and told them, and then they try to beat him up, and instead Denzel Washington beat up everybody else. So it's like, don't take pictures and evidence and leave evidence and all that. Or another great example of this was when I was still last year of being at Fort Carson in the Army. I heard of a female soldier, you could look it up probably on YouTube, of a female soldier who decided to disrespect the flag, dodge the flag at 5 p.m. If you're outside, you're supposed to get out of your car and all that, stop, turn on hazard lights, get out of your car, salute the flag in the direction of the flag for the reveille thing going off, and salute the flag until it's done. She decided to do the wrong thing, dodge the flag, jump in her car, kick back her driver's seat, take off her hat in her car, and dodge saluting the flag. If she just did that and kept it to herself, no one would have cared. What she did is put it on social media, take snapshots, to brag about it, and then she got in trouble, and she got a dishonorable discharge, went to jail for like a year. It's like, you don't disrespect the flag, and then put it all over social media because you want to get attention, like an idiot. So, if you can't afford things, then you don't deserve to have them. And the big thing is, I'm talking about stealing. I hate thieves. There are realistically, only 2 ways stealing is okay to me. And that is, one, if you don't steal this certain thing, sleeping bag, new clothes, food, camping tent, new socks, underwear, whatever, gloves, coat, for you, children, significant other, whatever. If you don't steal this bare minimum stuff, people are gonna get hurt or die. Then that to me is a little bit more okay. Or the only other way is if someone steals from you, and then at some point in time an opportunity presents itself that you're able to steal back either everything they stole from you or a substitute payment or something, and you got back a little bit or all of what someone stole from you. If an opportunity presents itself, you just can't let them know that you did it. You can't brag about it until the statute of limitation of what you did passes, and that could be 5 to 7 years or whatever. So but yeah, if everything I have, I've bought, paid for, built, got as a gift from somebody. I haven't stolen anything. I bought it and paid for it, and I respect my property more. I take better care of it because I earned it. You could take great pride in that. So there's that. main deciding factor that determines a positive and healthy relationship is, does one have to ask permission on anything from their partner, with the exception of spending above a certain dollar amount that has been agreed upon between the two parties. Um, if you're a true adult, you don't need their permission, but keep them informed to show proper respect to your partner. So this is pretty much, I think about relationship dynamics, what makes it healthy and unhealthy and all that. If it's more negative than positive, 70-30 negative, 80-20 negative, 90-10 negative, 95-5 negative, it's pretty much doomed to fail. It's just, it's just a matter of time. The hourglass of when it will fail is the sand is is draining or whatever. And so, my thought process is, what is, and to me, from my observation of tons of different people in relationships, what is the main deciding factor that determines whether you have a really good, healthy relationship dynamic or not? And it's, do you guys act like real, mature, take responsibility for your choices, actions, and decisions? You're confident. You can make decisions for yourself. You're not constantly looking to your partner. Hey, honey, do you mind if I wear this, wear that, hang out with this person, hang out with that person, talk to this person, talk to that person, have a relationship with someone else, work here, work there, go do this, go do that? Do I have your blessing? Why the hell are you doing that? Because you're a grown ass man or woman, 18 or over. You should be like, honey, I'm going to get together with this person, old friend, old family member, whatever, man, woman, couple, group, going to this concert. I'm going to wear this, whether you like it or not. I'm going to work here, going to work there. You can't tell me what I can or cannot do. That's how it should be. Keep them informed that it's proper respect. I'm going here, I'm going there. We were planning on going here, change of plan. The place was closed early. We didn't know it. We didn't get in, whatever. Keep them informed, but you don't need their permission. If you need their permission, it's not a real healthy relationship. What it is parent/child relationship dynamic. The more mature adult in the relationship, or the bully and abuser, will treat the other one like their child, and you have to listen to me and obey me and do what I say. And so what that person does is, that person, the weakling, the person is treated like a child, because maybe they act like a child too. They act like they're mentally and emotionally 20 to 30 years younger. They don't want to take control of their difficult adult responsibilities and challenges and stresses and difficult choices. So they might act like a child. So they just, what do they actually become? They pretty much become the adult or a bully or abuser or whatever, gaslighter, as they become their obedient little bitch, servant, slave, doormat. They give up their rights, their voice, and their freedom as an adult because they want to be more like a child. That's what happens. So, from my perspective of what I've seen. If your relationship is more negative than positive, then it's doomed to fail. I already did that. Everything in moderation. Don't overindulge. Learn to be happy with less. And I have two examples of this. I overindulged when I got out of the military, put on weight, wasn't really working out much. And I developed, went from pre-diabetic to type 2 diabetes. And I came very close until more recently to type 1 diabetes. I believe the A1C sugar level to go from, it's like 6.6 is high in pre-diabetic, 6.7 you're type 2. That can go all the way up to about, it's either 10.2 or 10.3. Once you hit 10.2, 10.3, you go from type 2 diabetes to type 1. And then that's where major health problems start to happen. You could lose limbs, amputation, blindness, a lot of the dialysis stuff, been put almost like a plasma donation thing, and your blood's got to be cleaned and everything. And I got all the way up to a 9.9 at one point about a year and a half ago. And so I started eating better, healthier, smarter choices, taking some medication like metformin, for example, and stuff. And more recently, I got all the way back down to 7.6. And so I got one whole more point left to get down to, and I'm pre-diabetic again. But if you overindulge sweets and sugary foods, and you don't think about as you're getting older, and you're still being unhealthy and not working out at a gym or hiking or whatever, then it could be very unhealthy for you and affect you in major ways and shorten your lifespan too. Another way of thinking about moderation and overindulgence of being happy with less is property. A lot of people nowadays is like, I got out of my parents' house. I want the best of the best. I want the best furniture, the best entertainment, the best apartment. I want the best of the best. Well, you can't afford the best, not unless somebody else is paying for it. So it's more of, you need to get out on your own. Where was I? Oh, they need to think about minimalist lifestyle, stop being so damn stingy and all that, and start from the bottom and work your way up. So what I mean is, go get furniture from Goodwill, hand-me-downs from family members or friends. Some especially garage sales, yard sales, Facebook Marketplace, offer up, drive around, and during spring and summertime, a lot of people put out furniture pieces that maybe are not too bad, need a little TLC love, and can fix it and clean it up. I've done that myself. I had a reclining chair similar to that, but it was pink. Got it behind a restaurant that a friend worked at, and found it, and it was like, oh, it needs a few nuts and bolts, and it needs a vacuum and Bissell shampoo, and it was like brand new, in great condition. We used it for a couple of years before I upgraded. So start from the bottom, though, live within your means, not beyond your means. Start out with, and then you can slowly build upon it. And you look up at Facebook Marketplace, which is a huge thing right now, and you just type in the search block of free, and you find tons of people, and it's like you just got to coordinate with them and go pick it up. So then you can constantly keep upgrading, whether it be electronics or furniture or whatever, or you even get some extra and then do TLC to that furniture, and then you could put it up for sale and make a little bit of money from it. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Personal belief of mine on religion, I'll make this short and sweet. I have faith. I believe in God, pray to Him, try to do good to His creations of living things and other people, be good to people, try to help people when I can. But I don't believe in any of the other forms of religion, which I believe last time I checked on Google, worldwide there's over 4,300 different religions last time I checked. And to me, religion is the oldest version of mental and emotional slavery on the planet. And the majority of them who are major, religious people are hypocrites. So constantly nonstop saying one thing and doing another, or changing the interpretation of Bible verses and stuff. So, to suit their agendas, pretty much is the best way to put it. Definition of respect: treat others as you want to be treated. Another way, another perspective, to interpretation of that is eye for an eye, equalness and fairness across the board in everything, and that to me, it's like what you dish and serve to others is exactly what you deserve to get dished and served in return. If you're there for me, I'm there for you. You help me, I help you. You're good to me, I'm good to you. You're there for my birthday or Christmas or whatever celebration, I'm there for yours. You're positive to me, I'm positive to you. But there's, in the real world, there's positives and negatives. There's yin and yang. You can't have the positives without the negatives. Even so many people want to just focus on just the positives and completely avoid and ignore at all costs the negatives. Your life will never be well balanced if you don't realize there's positives and negatives and accept both. So when it comes to that, if you hurt me, I hurt you. You lie to me, I lie to you. You betray me, I betray you. You screw me over, I screw you over. You take advantage of me, I take advantage of you. You lie to me, I lie to you. You take a swing at me, man, woman, don't care about age, gender. I'm taking a swing back. If you hit me and it didn't hurt, you'll get the first shot for free the second time I'm defending myself. You throw something at me, I throw something back. You take advantage of me, I take advantage of you. You hurt me, I hurt you. You spit at me, I spit back. You know, equalness and fairness, eye for an eye. It's physics. With every action, there's an equal reaction, like that little swinging ball thing. One ball goes up, hits it. The other side goes up, hits it, goes back and forth, back and forth. It's, you know, true justice, balancing of the scales of justice needs to balance out. So, you know, my perspective on that is, you know, equalness and fairness across the board in anything, you know, anything and everything. You know, so if you do something positive or negative to someone, you deserve the exact same thing in return. And then why you're all like shock and awe, you know, that this happened to me, it's cause and effect. You know, if you do this bad thing and then a bad thing comes back and hits you in the face or in the ass or whatever, why are you shocked? You know, cause and effect. You know, so you deserve it. True equalness and fairness. You know, balancing of the scales. A lot of people will tell me, but Chris, you know, two wrongs don't make a right. What they don't seem to understand, and I didn't know this for a long time either, and for the first half of my life, it was the two wrongs don't make a right, be the person who takes the moral high ground. Yeah, be that person. And what does that get you? Nothing. It gets you taken advantage of. It gets you screwed over. People hurt you, lie to you, use you, screw you over, steal from you. You get bullied and abused and used by everybody. So yeah, you can take the moral high ground if you want to choose that option. First half of my life, that's what I did. Last half of my life, not so much. Now, you know, two wrongs don't make a right is one side of a single coin. That's what it really is. So what's on the other side? So if two wrongs don't make a right is the heads, then what is the tails? The other side of the coin is two wrongs do make a right because two wrongs balance the scales of justice. And I believe more in balancing the scales of true justice, true equality, equalness and fairness, eye for an eye. So, you know, you take a swing at me, I take a swing back. Equalness and fairness. It's physics. With every action, there's an equal reaction. So, hard work keeps a man and woman honest, keeps you focused and out of trouble. And so that's like the whole thing, you know, even in the military, a lot of people offer me drugs, alcohol, marijuana, going to drink and drive, partying, clubbing, all that kind of stuff. And if anything, I volunteered for to go with groups, and I'd have maybe one beginner drink, and then I'd start drinking soda, water, eating meals because I was mainly the designated driver, but I would have one beginner toast drink. That was it. I was being responsible. And but then the other thing is, you know, by doing that, it also prepared me for becoming a future Lyft Uber driver for 5 years. But then also, like I kept my nose clean, and by putting in a lot of the overtime at my being a supply sergeant in the Army to better my unit's logistical efficiency more and more and more constantly, every day, every week, every month, then it kept me out of trouble. It improved my work environment, but kept my nose clean. It kept me out of trouble from getting into a lot of the dumb stuff that a lot of other soldiers would take part in and get in trouble and you know, ruin their life and career. A part of that is a great saying from a movie scene, The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage and all that. Did you know the harder thing to do and the right thing to do are usually the same thing? Nothing that has meaning is easy. Easy doesn't enter into grown-up life. So if you want better for yourself or your family, you have to stop wanting easy. So, and that is part of the whole thing of when you first start out in work as a beginning adult or even a teenager, the first couple of years, you're just like, oh, this I have a little responsibility, but not a lot. Oh, this is easy. Oh, I'm getting paid for this. Awesome, and all that. After a couple of years, you start to become angry. You start to become bitter. You hate your life. Oh, I want more. Well, you're not just going to be handed more. You've got to push yourself and go through difficulty, challenges, hardship, obstacles, and conflict of person, places, and things. You got to challenge yourself and push yourself and go through the hard things mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, go through a little bit of hardship hell like military training and all that if you want more and better for yourself. Right now, the military branches are hurting for people. I think the Army was like 60,000. No, it was like 15, 20,000 under. They're offering major sign-on bonuses, like up to $50,000 and all that kind of stuff. You know, for a couple of years sign up, and then you get GI Bill, then full medical, full dental coverage, all that. You know, traveling the world for every full month you work, you get 2.5 days of paid leave. So every year you work, you get a full 30 days paid vacation. You know, with everything in life, like I said at the beginning, there's positives and there's negatives. There's a lot of hard, difficult, challenging obstacles, negatives, major responsibilities, major stress, and all that. But there's a lot of beneficial positives: world travel and benefits, medical, dental, GI Bill, getting paid to go to school, pocketing grant scholarship money when you do full-time school and apply. You know, the medical coverage, dental coverage, learn leadership skills, travel the world, learn how to be more independent, self-sufficient, solve your own damn problems, and stop bugging everybody else to solve them for you. They break in basic training AIT, they break you of your immaturity, bad habits, addictions, and teach you, you know, loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage, the 7 Army values. So they break you down in order to build you back up and mold you into something better than what you were before. So I kind of already went into this, but you know, how does one become mentally, emotionally stronger slowly over time as we age? By facing, dealing with, overcoming, and conquering difficulty, challenges, hardship, obstacles, and all levels and all forms of conflict every fucking day of your life, especially when you become 18 or older. And you know, it's like the only thing to fear is fear itself, and that's a really important thing. That's why I'm saying it again. The other thing, portion of that is how you become mentally, emotionally stronger, not just by facing hard things, but also by, you know, believing in yourself. And you got to face the hard things to slowly gain confidence in order to have love and faith and belief and confidence in yourself. You'll become smarter and stronger, and those who hold you down and hold you back, wanting you to remain in your safety bubble and your comfort zone for all time, for eternity, because they want you to remain mentally, emotionally weak down at their level. Because if you become smarter and stronger, then you will most likely get rid of them at some point in time. They know it. That's why they want you to remain you know, in your safety bubble, a comfort zone, mentally, emotionally weak all the time. Learn from your mistakes. To prevent making those mistakes again. What did you do right and wrong? What were the positives and negatives of your choices and actions and decisions with your mistakes? So when you make mistakes, don't just, you know, forget about them and let them like it rolls off your shoulder kind of thing super quick. Think about what happened. Think about the details. And then, you know, what did you do right? What did you do wrong? What could you do better? All that kind of stuff. How do you massively improve your overall life slowly over time as you age? Not only by facing, dealing with, overcoming, conquering difficulty, challenges, obstacles, hardship, and conflict every day of your life, but there's another way. And I sort of came up with this mantra while I was in college. Keep asking yourself, how can I better my life? How can I better my finances? How can I better my credit scores? How can I better my home, my vehicle, my furniture, my personal belongings, my home decor? How can I pay off debts faster? How can I make extra money off to the side? The more you take good care of your belongings, the longer they'll last, and they'll take good care of you, and it'll also save you money in the long run. Give an example, the computer desk that my phone tripod is on. I've had this thing. My mom uses my queen bed with a major bed frame with a backboard, the leather cushioning and all that. Those things I got back in March of 2013, so almost 11 years now. Right after I came back from Afghanistan, and because I take good care of them, I clean them up, a little TLC, and all that kind of stuff. They last a long time. So you take good care, especially the more expensive items, technology, furniture, your home, and vehicles, they will take good care of you. A great example of what not to do. My older brother has a trailer. Grandpa sold it to him very dirt cheaply, and he has had it for 19 to 20 years. Massively has neglected it, and it's slowly falling apart around him. The only way he ever put in the time, energy, and money is his ex-wife, when they were married, to force him to fix the flooring, the foundation. And then if other people were willing to, hey, I can clean this up, I can fix that, I can improve this, I can make a repair and a patch, and I'll do it for you pretty much for free just because it's bugging me. So otherwise, he would never really put in the time, energy, put in 10%, 20% of what he made net income a year off to the side for either home repairs or renovation improvements. It's one thing if you skip the first year, okay, fine, but by the second year, you should be, putting in constantly if you want to, because you got to take care of your home and environment, and that's providing a roof over your head, but he didn't, and now it's a lot of issues. He has a new roommate who has a boyfriend who knows how to do certain construction, and he's helping him out, but he neglected it for a long time, and he wonders why. Sidings are falling off, holes are being punched right through, and all that. And things are rotting, things are falling apart because you neglected it. I think I said this once before, have boundaries and set boundaries with everyone you know at some point, because at one point in your life, everyone will hurt, use, disappoint, or take advantage and steal from you. Protect yourself and get every promise, deal, or agreement, like a business deal or something, written and signed for proof, or you will be used at some point by those closest to you. This happened to me, my old high school best friend with the two little girls, an abusive significant other who threw away 14 and a half years of close to perfect friendship. When the blow up fight stuff happened and she kicked me out, she also owed me borrowed money, borrowed personal property, and had completed 2/3 of a modeling clothes business deal, and did not complete the other 1/3 even though she got the clothes. So a total altogether, she stole $1,840 from me. When things are on good terms, they might stick with it. It took her like 6 years to pay off only about $400. So it was over $2,000 at the time, and she paid off $400. Took like 6 years to make that payment, and then several months later, the blow-up fight happened. Our friendship fell apart. She threw me all away, kicked me out of her whole family's life and my goddaughter's lives, and stole a total dollar value of everything combined, $1,840. So because I didn't have it, a written contract or on video or voice agreement or something to prove that she's stolen from me, so I couldn't, go get a lawyer and fight it. I've had my older brother has used me. I've kept him alive and afloat for 22 months out of his entire adult life. He owes me like $12,600 that I'll probably never see. My mother has stolen from me. I've probably lost 10, 15 grand altogether with what she's done. I've helped my dad stay alive and afloat living with his mother in Arizona when they were both alive. I've probably lost about $25,000 there. I've estimated that to help just from family alone, biological family who's hurt and used me, I've lost probably $45,000 to $50,000 in my entire adult life. Just saying one thing, doing another, hurting me, using me, and justifying it. And then if I include other females who've said one thing, did another, and hurt me, there's probably another $20,000, $30,000 lost. So, let's see. Making extra money off from the side gigs. I think I talked about Lyft, Uber, plasma donation, all that kind of stuff. You can use that to save up for emergency funds, pay off your debt faster, investments, vacations, repairs on things, whatever. A part of that, keep fine tuning your personal monthly budget. And to keep making your monthly budget better and better and better. Don't always stick with all the same things, especially as your credit score increases. Emergency preparedness management is very important. It's part of my YouTube channel. I build high quality, lightweight 24-hour bug out bags, normal 24-hour bug out bags, 48 and 72-hour bug out bags, personalized to the person, their wants, their needs, their environment, altitude, and climate. For my customers, I built about 24 of them over the past several years. So I'm really big into like FEMA, Red Cross, emergency preparedness management. And I also have videos on my YouTube channel for home preparedness and readiness advice video, which I'm about to update here very soon. And then vehicle preparedness and readiness advice video, hints, tips, and tricks of things to have like in your glove compartment, underneath the seats of your car, like fire extinguishers, and then back with your spare tire if you have like a Thule or whatever lockbox container on the top, spare supplies there. And because I did 4 emergency preparedness management research papers in college during my first 5 semesters at community college in Colorado Springs. I worked with 2 with FEMA, 2 with Red Cross, learned a lot about emergency preparedness. And 2 of the major statistics that came out that shocked me was what was it? They did a FEMA and Red Cross. 2015 did actually before that, like 2010 to 2015, a 5-year joint survey on Americans and preparedness. And the results in August 2015 was over 60% of Americans do not prepare for natural disasters in any way, shape, or form, even though over 80% of American counties get hit by one or more than one yearly natural disaster. That has probably changed with global warming getting worse. And so now that's probably more like 98 to 100% of American counties getting hit by one or more than one. And yet, like, only like, I think it's like 50 or 60% of Americans now throughout America are prepared. So that's 40 to 50 that aren't. And then the other major statistic at that time was for every $1 someone spends in preparedness planning, products, or both, you will save yourself somewhere in the range realm of $4 to $16 in damages and recovery fees after the disaster is over with. And those who prepare compared to those who do not, they will recover 4 to 5 times faster from a natural disaster compared to those who do not prepare at all. Now, knowing that with inflation, because of COVID-19 and everything and all that, that $4 to $16 range is probably more like double. For every $1 you spend in preparedness planning, products, or both, you will probably save yourself more like $8 to $32 in damages and recovery fees. So that's pretty majorly important of how serious preparedness is. The big question is, what is the disaster? And do you survive the initial disaster, and then can you get to your gear? That's the big questions. But the more prepared you are, with the better equipment and gear that cover a lot of different category factors like hygiene, first aid, summer, winter combo clothing, camping gear, cooking gear, knives and tomahawks and tents, sleeping bags, machetes, all this different stuff. Do you have emergency ration food, water filtration devices, different cooking utensil tools? Do you have everything you need if, civilization, electricity shut down and everything, and we go back to the Stone Age, like apocalyptic world, do you have everything? And backup food and water and all that, and ways to collect rainwater and everything. So that's how pretty serious and important emergency preparedness management is. A big thing here, to me, this is like, especially speaking from an Army war veteran, 13 and a quarter years in the Army, 9 years as supply sergeant, 3 deployments under my belt, year in Iraq, year in Afghanistan, and a 3-month humanitarian mission in Liberia, Africa. So I know this very, very well, but a lot of people don't want to listen to it and pay attention to it. Freedom in this country has never, ever been free. If you want true, real freedom, you need to be willing to give sweat, blood, tears, and possibly be willing to sacrifice your life and possibly even your family's lives as well to fight for that real freedom. and pretty much this is a bit of a hard one for me because I had when I stood up to my ex-stepfather at 15 3/4, and I had an older brother who's 2 years older, almost 18, and my mom was 37 3/4, almost 38, so she was 22 years older than me. So I had people who were older than me and should have done what I did, but didn't have the guts and balls to do it, and so I had to do it for them. And I had to stand up and face, deal with, overcome, and conquer my ex-stepfather and his bullying and abuse. And I didn't really realize until the last couple of years what I actually did. And what I actually did was I didn't just risk my life and limb, and my breath, my actual life being either seriously physically harmed by him or killed. I actually risked my life, my mom's life, and both my older brother and younger brother's lives. The way I looked at it was today was a good day to die. The Klingon warrior motto. All for one for all. Either we're going to be all set free in life or we're going to be all set free in death. But one thing that will not happen anymore is any more bullying, any more abuse, any more physical harm, any assaults, any molestation, sexual harassment. None of that, will happen anymore. I would rather die. So, and another great example of what I'm talking about, the Mel Gibson movie Patriot, Revolutionary War stuff, and how, when his oldest son, what was this? Heath Ledger, I think, played him as the oldest son, and became like almost like a postman quartermaster, and but he worked for the American army and everything. And so the British were coming through. They, one of the British officers shot one of his youngest children, took his oldest as prisoner, and so then he grabs his other two oldest, who are still quite young, and puts muskets in their hands and goes after them. So he's risking his own family's lives. And then a possible retaliation, and then later on, the men and women and children were in a church that they got locked into and burnt down. So that's a prime example of, if you want real, true freedom for yourself, you want to fight for your rights, your voice, your freedom, and maybe even your children's lives, voice, and freedoms, you may have to give the ultimate sacrifice. Why? Because freedom in this country has never ever been free. You have to give sweat, blood, tears, sacrifice up to your living, breathing life, and it might even cost you your family, your kids, whether they're just taken away by like CPS, the government, or whatever, the court system, or or it might actually cost them their living, breathing lives to fight for real freedom. If we ever go to war or have a civil war within this country, that might be happening. We might be experiencing that. So if you're not willing to stand up and fight for your true rights, voice, and freedom, for true, real freedom, then you don't deserve to have any of that freedom. What will happen? The strong survive, the weak either perish, or if they don't perish, what happens to the weak? They get enslaved by someone who is stronger than them. That's what happens. So there's that. I'm almost done. Watching out for and preventing scams from happening to you. I have a YouTube video on scamming warning signs advice video, different scams going on, like the top dozen major scams, like romance scams, phone scams, publisher clearinghouse scams, Uber, Lyft customer service scams, a lot of different types of scams, and a lot of things how to watch out for. One of the biggest right now is like phone scams. It's been happening quite a bit. Also, people on Facebook hit me up. Women, even some of them who I know actually they're like celebrity figures or porn stars or just some gorgeous women, but they're probably they're brand new accounts. You put your cursor over them when they send you a message that says new account. You might even recognize who they are, like porn star celebrities or whatever. And they're like, you look like a really awesome guy, and I look over your Facebook, and I really like what I see, and I want to get to know you better. Can we talk? I can't send you a friend's request. The system won't let me. There's no reason why anybody shouldn't be able to send a friend's request. Then you click on the account, their profile. You look at if is it brand new, then you don't trust it. Is it has it been around for a while? And then you look at all their friends, and almost all of them are like African Americans. In the background, it's like third world country. Straw huts or whatever, like really piece of crap places. It's like, oh, this gorgeous white girl is contacting me and saying she's in Texas or whatever, and all of her friends are like Nigerian black people. Clear freaking signs it's a scam. I've had people call me up a lot lately. At one time, I even had someone was able to copy the phone number, call me up saying it was my bank, and saying that there's a fraudulent charge and all that, and have you given your information out to anybody? What's your username for your account so we can verify who you are? That's a security question. So after like three specific things, I noticed it was a scam and clear signs. I'm like, too smart to fall for it, you dumbasses. I've fallen for several small ones in the past. I think the most I ever lost at one time from a woman. I was young, horny, desperate, and all that. From a porn star or whatever, or online model, and I lost like $1,000. I've gotten take advantage for an Uber customer service scam. They acted really nice and polite, and I fell for it. And as soon as I realized what I did, what I fell for. Lost like $643 for a week's worth of work. But what I did, I handled it smartly by getting advice from my mom, and so I filed a police report for that region area I was in, and then by doing that, let Uber investigation department know. They verified the police report, so they gave me a one-time reimbursement of what I lost. But there's just so many things you could do. Like, so pretty much nowadays with all the phone, either they're telemarketers, or they're phone scammers, or they're Autobot things, or they're robots, or there might even be people who are waiting for you to say several words in a sentence, and then using AI to copy your voice and use that to empty out your bank accounts. So how do I prevent that? Pretty much, if a phone number calls me and I don't recognize it, then I just let the voicemail get. If it's important enough, they'll leave a voicemail. If it's not that important, then screw them. And most of the time, it's like people call me from Texas and New Jersey and Pennsylvania, just all over the United States, not my actual state or nearby states. So it's like, if I don't know you personally, we haven't gotten together, I ain't helping you, I ain't talking to you, I ain't giving you a dime. If you're further away than 3 hours, then why the hell am I talking to you? There's almost no chance we'll ever get together. So I'm not going to waste my time, energy, my money, my breath, and all that. Sometimes I'll talk to them to screw with them, but there's the IRS scam that, they almost got me with that one, but I hung up and because they're like, you can't hang up the phone. You owe us like $3,000. We'll take Bitcoin. IRS doesn't take Bitcoin. The real IRS will never call you, and neither will your bank, about like a fraudulent charge. The bank will like send text messages to verify the last couple charges, or you'll get like a voicemail, automated a voicemail message saying, it'll be a robot, and it'll be like, there are a few charges that seem suspicious. We need you to go in the system and confirm these charges to let us know if it is or is not fraud. But an actual person from your bank, from the fraud department, will never call you up, and and all that. You have to call them. So knowing when someone called me from USAA Bank saying they're from the fraud department, no one has ever called me before. So a clear sign. There's all these hints, tips, and tricks and signs to watch out for to not fall for scams. But the IRS one was, they were threatening, like, they're like, if you don't pay us and all this other kind of stuff, and or put down like a portion of like 500 out of 3,000 right now, police officers are going to come to your door and you're going to be arrested. Why would the IRS threaten you? Because then that hinders them from them ever being able to get money that you might owe them. And they don't take Bitcoin. The only way the IRS contacts you is through snail mail. They'll let you know, and then you send snail mail back, and then you paper checks, money orders. But they'll never receive cash. They'll never receive credit card. They'll never receive Bitcoin. It has to be like a check or a money order sent through snail mail. So there's clear signs, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube about that. On my scammer warning sign advice YouTube video as well. Check that out. think before you act. Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment when it comes to scams. There's a lot of them now, and you got to really be on your game to not fall for it. And you can watch a lot of YouTube videos on the different scams that are going on nowadays. Um, Overall, a good way to get ready to finish this up. We are not given a good or a bad life. We are given just a life. It is up to us with our choices, actions, and decisions that determine whether we have a good or bad life. So take accountability for your actions. Everything has positives and negatives, and realize that. Think before you act. Don't be ruled by your emotions. I'd say shut this idiotic light switch off. I think I feel. I think I feel. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I'm basing every idiotic choice off of fear. Shut this light switch off and turn this one on. Use this, most powerful engine an organ in the world. Start using this more. Think before you act. Don't let your emotions rule you. There's a triangle. There's using your head, listening to your gut, and listening to your heart. Depending on certain situations, some will be just heart, some will be just gut, some will be just using your head, some will be two of the three, and that's it, and some will be all three. But really, you got to kind of grow up and evolve, take accountability for your actions, and believe and understand there's cause and effect. It's kind of like when people get in trouble with the law. You ran into somebody, and then you ran away, and then you get caught, and then the punishment is now 3 to 30 times worse because you ran away, because you were a coward. Don't be a chicken shit coward, wimp, wuss, pussy, pathological liar person. If a bad thing happens, stay there and face the music. Cooperate. Don't run away. And things, you might get somewhat of a punishment, but it won't be as severe. You run from the cops or whatever, like with a hit and run or stolen vehicle, and you got caught or whatever, it's going to be 3 to 30 times worse if you run. So have honor, have integrity, have personal courage and loyalty, and stay put and face the music. The cause and effect thing, you deserve the karma you received in life. Prime example is my mom, old best female high school best friend, my older brother, all their piece of crap relationships with their significant others. It was cause and effect. It's exactly what Morpheus on Matrix Reloaded went and talked to the Frenchman about. And he asked a question about the Oracle and all that, and Morpheus' response was, it's all about choice. And the Frenchman pretty much put it as, no, this is wrong, this is incorrect. It's about causality, cause and effect. And they're both right. Your choices, your decisions, your actions lead into the cause and the effect. So the whole thing, the cause, is started by your choices, actions, and decisions. So think before you act, and don't let your emotions rule everything. And so then if you think before you act, and you think ahead and preparedness, and you can think of, well, if I take this route, there's positives, negatives, the ups and downs of every decision you make, the what if possibilities. And and then whatever you decide to do, take accountability for it, own up to it. And so whatever the aftermath effect is, positive or negative, good or bad, big or small, that is because of your choices. So if you choose the wrong partner, have kids with the wrong partner, put your partner before yourself and your own children, and just obey them, and you wonder why your life is a nightmare, your whole relationship dynamic with them is a lie, a joke, and a nightmare. Even though I don't condone the horrible things that they do and put them through, they kind of deserve it, because You allowed it to happen. It's kind of like I have like a three strike rule. 3 to 4 pretty good size serious strikes. You're out. You're gone. I'm done with you. Go away. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the ass on the way out. But a lot of people are like, well, a horrible thing. A, B, C, and possibly D happened, and then they go right back to it, and then E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, all these new horrible things keep happening. Why do these horrible things keep happening? Because you didn't nip the bud at either C or D and get the hell out of there, you or your children or whatever, whether you have children or not. You didn't get yourself out of the chaotic, hell on earth, piece of crap, lie, joke, and nightmare, bullying, abusive relationship dynamic. Why? Because most of you care about safety and security over fighting for your rights, voice, and freedom because they might be a good provider. And you also might have biological kids with them, and you don't want your kids to come from a broken family and a broken home. So, and Dr. Phil's response to a woman who said that is, so you don't want your kids to come from a broken family or broken home. That's why you won't leave your husband. But if you didn't have kids, you said before that you would leave in a heartbeat. You would not stick around. So what you're actually doing is you're cowering in fear because he is the biological father. You don't want to break up the family, and he's a good provider. He provides 99% of all the net income and pays for everything. And so you're terrified because you have nothing and he has everything. And so what you're actually doing is allowing your fear to manipulate and control you. You're living a literal lie of life, and you're lying to your kids and lying to your significant other. And what you're actually doing is you're trapping you and your kids in a bullying, abusive household environment, trapping everybody in this broken family that you're not willing to get away from, get out of, and start all over, probably hopefully with other friends and family, and get yourself mental emotional help. That's what Dr. Phil responded, what response was. So your actions, choices, and decisions have consequences. And so if you're allowing the bad stuff to keep happening continuously, you kind of deserve it. The children don't deserve it, but you as an adult do, because you're not willing to grow up, face it, deal with it, overcome it, and conquer it, and do the right thing for you, your partner, and your kids. So, freedom in this country has never been free. You have to fight for it. And how do you, fight for it? By facing, dealing with, overcoming, and conquering difficulty, challenges, hardship, obstacles, all levels and all forms of conflict every single day of your life. The only thing to fear is fear itself. So face it, deal with it, overcome it, and conquer it. And so I think that's all I have. That's everything of my major life learning lessons and experiences. I know it was a bit long. I hope you enjoy it and take some good life learning lessons. This is kind of like, a young person who wants to learn more from from older people, from elders, and the kind of advice and guidance that they would bestow upon you from their life learning lessons and personal experiences throughout their 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years worth, sharing their knowledge and experience to educate the young. That's what this pretty much video is. I'll be 39 at the end of August of 2024. And I've traveled around the world, served my country, and pretty much have done everything independently, self-sufficiently, on my own. I do all my own chores. I solve my own problems. I cook my own food. I did all my own high school and college school work. I made my own money. I buy my own things. I build my own things. I fix my own things. I solve my own problems. I've been single my entire adult life. No kids, no pets, no significant others, no exes. Do everything by myself. If I could do it, why can't all other adults who are 18 or over in America and in the world do it on their own? If I could do it, everybody else could do it. But you got to stop being, mental, emotional weaklings, scared little cowards, being so immature, not willing to push yourself and grow up, and looking around for someone else to make it easy and do it for you. So grow up and pull your, big pants up and pull your bootstraps up and tie your own shoes and every problem in your life, figure it out and solve it. And if you have to sacrifice and sell everything that you currently have off to still keep a roof over your head, food in your stomach, clothes on your back, and the electricity on and everything, then do what you got to do. Don't stop living beyond your means. Everybody hits a hard time. So if you hit a hard time and you got to sacrifice everything, then do it, and then slowly build yourself back up and bring yourself back and make yourself learn from your mistakes and build yourself up and do better the second or third time around. That's all I have. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out all my other YouTube videos. Currently I have about 45 videos covering 25 different category subjects on my channel under my full name. Hit like, hit subscribe, make any comments, and hope you enjoyed this video. All right, take care, and have a good year. All right, take care of yourself. Bye.